follower it is in San Jose? 1,800 followers.
Solid.
So 1,800
Solid.
followers. Ryan Tannehill, who doesn't tweet anything except for ill-timed ads. By comparison, Ryan Tannehill has 158,000 followers.
Well, Ryan Tannehill is also a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I know, but what I'm telling you is just, how I feel about, this guy is so important that 1,800 people follow him. So they traded Cunnin for a bag of pucks, which in all seriousness is probably better than I would have given anybody for Luke Cunnin. So there's that. So let's start on this. Are we okay with it? Are we okay with the fact that the Predators did nothing spectacular except just pick? And before you get this, let me say this. I just want to get this disclaimer out there, and this disclaimer will last for forever. So I'm only going to say this one time for everybody out there. I do not agree, as I have said many a time. I think you would agree with me on this. I do not agree with the direction of the franchise. I want to rebuild. I want to start over. I don't want to add cap space. I want to clear cap space. I want to be picking third in the draft. I want to get more picks. I want to be picking all the time. And maybe a couple of these guys will be good. And that means that they'll be bad next season. But that's not what they want. That's what I want. So think of it like this, because we're going to approach this from their standpoint from here on out, which is they think that they can build this team into a contender. Even though I don't believe it, the core as is, they believe it. So just imagine it as if we were to, say, work for the team, and we're inside the building, and everybody's sitting there kicking it around the conference room of, what do you think about the future of the franchise? Well, I've already said my piece, but they are going in a different direction. So now I'm approaching this as in, is this going to work from their perspective? So they want to build a winner this year. They traded for Ryan McDonough. They're going to re-sign Philip Forsberg, we would assume, but no Forsberg deal, no big trade. They pick at 17, nothing special today. Are you happy with it, okay with it, against it? How do you feel?
I mean, I'm fine with it. Everything that I have heard, he seems like a fine player, but I'm just confused about what the Predators' intentions really truly are. Because I said yesterday, I was confused that David Poyle's message this past season was get younger, get younger, get younger, and then you trade for a 33-year-old defenseman, which, again, I've said several times, I like the Ryan McDonough trade. I think that he is a good player, and he is going to be a good piece alongside Yossi if he plays by
Good, the
Yossi.
coach will not play him with Yossi.
He's going to be a good piece on this defense. So, okay. So whenever we were discussing yesterday about the Predators potentially trading the 17th pick for a player, I would say, okay, well, then that would make sense going along with the Ryan McDonough trade. If they really do want to build a winner this year, that would make sense. Go get a bona fide player that can help you right now. But they didn't do that. They got a player who still has 2 years left on his contract with Liga or whatever team he's on. So it will be at least 2 years until he gets to Nashville. So what's the plan? Get younger. Okay, then you draft an 18-year-old player in the first round. Or win now and trade for Ryan McDonough, who can help your defense right now. Which one is it?
They're going to tell you it's both. They're going to tell you that the McDonough trade was short-term and that the pick last night was long-term.
Well, do you think that in the short term the Predators have enough pieces right now to compete right now?
Well, as I said at start, I've already said my piece. This is the direction they're going. Ian, how did you feel about the Predators not doing anything special at all with this draft, given their cap space, the situation of other teams with cap space, their Forsberg situation, and much more?
I think I'm cool with it. I mean, I don't know what kind of major options we think they had here. Like Chicago got the 7th overall pick. Preds can't offer anything like that for the trade for DeBrincat. So I just don't think there was a whole lot of options.
So
I'm not sure there was a ton of players available that people are like, yeah, I'll take the 17th pick.
So
kind of thing.
I'm disappointed. And I would agree with you on that one, Ian. Maybe the 17th overall pick wasn't that special. First of all, the move that Chicago made for DeBrincat was just stupid. I mean, you can look at that trade, and I truly believe that as long as this Davidson, who just took over the Blackhawks, that's who's in charge of the Blackhawks, right, Ian?
Correct.
This Davidson, who just took over the Blackhawks, as long as he's running the show, I don't have to worry about them. That trade was that bad.
Well, they're
last
doing
night.
the opposite of the Preds
Well, they're blowing it up.
as far as like their kind of rebuild, right? The Preds are trying to go on the fly, so to speak, kind of keep some of the players. Chicago is doing what some people want the Preds to do. Sell everything, just accumulate as many picks as you can, and be terrible next year and hope for a top 3 pick because next year's draft is supposed to be good.
Which is amazing, though. A couple of things it's amazing about this is they got Ottawa's first-round pick this year to pick at 7 instead of going for Ottawa's first-round pick next year or something like that because Ottawa sucks. So the chances that pick's going to be pretty good. They don't even have an owner. The chances that those picks are going to be pretty good. If I'm doing that, I would go for the future. But now they're talking about trading Taves and Kane. Like, forget about Chicago.
Kane at the deadline.
But, oh, my God, I want Kane on the Predators so bad. And it'll never happen. But I do not like this. I do not like what the Predators have done here. And I'm going to tell you why. Almost to mimic what Caroline said there. Pick a lane and go with it. And given the cap situations around the league, if you get to free agency, I think teams right now, there's a handful of free agents who are out there that teams are saying, all right, we will clear this guy, and this guy in order to go get that guy. So, like, if Johnny Hockey hits the market, I think there will be teams that may not even have the cap space right now to be able to go get a Johnny Gaudreau, and they will find a way, and they'll go from there. And then they will be dumping for free. And maybe you wait for that. That might be the right call. But right now, I think there's teams that are looking to offload cap space so they can re-sign their own guys because they really like them, which means that you can get a guy for a bag of pucks, which is what you did for McDonough. And you can get a guy who's better than McDonough, who's probably younger than McDonough. You can do something like that in order to get some good players. And that's what I want the Predators to do. So, I mean, picking 17th in the draft, I mean, this guy may turn into the next Gordie Howe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't seem like it's going to help this team compete this year. So, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this. Is David Poile running this organization with the idea for the future? That they could actually be, hear me out on this, because this is how most organizations in every sport except for the NFL think, and the NBA. But the NBA, who cares? The idea is we draft for the future, we sign for the now, we trade for the now, and then there's a point in time where you look at your team and you say, okay, is this team good enough to compete? And if the answer is yes, and you feel like you just need a piece or two to get you over the hump, then you sacrifice the future in order for the now. That is what the standard is. But a lot of it, and over the years with the Predators, it's been this way too. And they just haven't gotten pummeled for things like a first-round pick for Franson and Santorelli in 2015. But what happens is there's a lot of, hey, we think this team can compete. The 2017 Predators thought that team could compete. David Poile told us the day of the trade deadline when they dealt a 4th-round pick for P.A. Parento, told us on this show that he thought they could compete for the Cup. And they did. Now, the next year, they knew they could compete for the Cup, so they dealt their first-round pick at the deadline. Okay. But the idea, if you don't know for sure you're a contender, is that you kind of build for the future. And at the same time, you use the NHL side of your roster for the now. That is what I would have told you to do in 2016. That's what I would have told you to do in 2017. That's probably what I would have told you to do in 2019. But that's not where I feel like this team is. So it's almost like, and I've thought about this with Poile, I keep waiting for there to be like some kind of chess move here or some kind of David said this, but he really meant that. And in reality, I think the team is being run the way David is telling you that the team is being run. So all the 80% out there or whatever it was in Adam Vingan's poll that doesn't believe this team can compete, they don't believe that. They think they can compete. Most people look at this team on paper with Ryan McDonough in the mix with the assumption that they will re-sign Philip Forsberg, and they'll probably add another top 6 forward and think to themselves, okay, that team will make the playoffs, and maybe they finish 2nd or 3rd in the Central, and so they end up playing St. Louis, and maybe that series goes 6. like this team will make it to the playoffs and this team will be able to compete, and because it'll be the same team with Ryan McDonough, with an extra year of experience, with this coach that we just love, and that the cookie will crumble their way. And then the draft pick is, we're not desperate to go out and win this year. We're also building for the future, which most responsible general managers would probably do. But not 72-year-old general managers that are on thin ice. Not that I think David's on thin ice, but the fans, he's certainly on thin ice. I mean, I was kind of stunned. Like, I'm kind of amazed. I'm kind of surprised that after the declaration of we're rebuilding every year, but we want to compete, that there aren't more chips going to the center. I'm glad there's not more chips going to the center, but I'm a little surprised.
Are you surprised because you don't think that David Poyle is going to be the captain of the ship for much longer?
How much longer can he be the captain for?
But that's why I go back to my point of, you say that, David Poyle can do anything with any sort of job security, which, maybe there's a good bit of truth to that, but that doesn't mean that he's just going to make deals willy-nilly just because his job is safe. Because I always say, I think he has some sort of pride in this team, some sort of pride in this job, where he has to make calculated and smart decisions, or at least decisions that he thinks are smart. And I think this is one of them, that even though you don't think, and I don't think either, that he's not going to be the general manager for 20 more years. He's not the long-term solution.
Once the new guy takes over the team, then I
think that this is a move that shows that, no, he knows that he's probably not going to be the general manager forever, but he's not making moves willy-nilly just because he has job security, not just because he may not be able to see this draft pick through his entire career.
I know, but if you're cup chasing, then what do you care about this kid that, and I didn't even know this until you said it, apparently they can't even use for 2 years.
Yeah, I believe he has a 2-year contract with Liga or whatever it is. So, yeah, the absolute earliest he could get to the Predators in 2 years.
Can they buy that out, Ian?
I don't think so. But, I mean, all rookies pretty much are that way.
But anywho.
They all go back to juniors.
It just goes back to, David Poyle does have, or is at least making moves for the future, not just Jeremy Lozon type moves that he's pumping a bunch of money.
That is a cup chasing move.
And pumping money and draft stocks into a player that's not worth a damn.
So that is a cup chasing move.
Is he chasing a cup?
Yes.
I know he wants to chase a cup, but is he really?
Like, are the Predators going to compete for the cup?
Yes.
No, but is he trying to compete for the cup? Yes.
I think so, yes.
But then you don't pick at 17. So it doesn't add up. But I do think that ultimately picking, I mean, they need some young players because outside of the goalie, which is a position they are set at, they do not need.
Contrary to popular belief.
They do not need, yeah. They do not, well, they're not set at backup goalie. They're just set at regular goalie and future goalie. But other than that, like, I mean, so to me, I was stunned. I was floored yesterday that they didn't get a Forsberg deal done. I was stunned that they didn't make another deal. I was stunned. 615-737-1025. Almost as stunned as I was when I heard that David Poyle's not doing a press conference today because they've got to run to the airport in Montreal to fly commercial back home. And
why are they flying commercial back home?
I don't know. They have like 35 people there. Why don't you just buy think about it.
They have a plane?
No. Like a plane like a Predators plane that they own?
Well, maybe not for all 35 people, but I have a hard time thinking that David Poyle flies Southwest to every game.
No, well, yeah. So they charter flights
for the
team, but that's not, that's collectively bargained. The David Poyle flying to the draft apparently is not collectively bargained. I don't know. I figured that if you're taking all those people, did you see how many people were on the stage last night?
I did.
I mean, if you're taking all those people, might as well get a jet. Get Bill Haslam's jet. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Your thoughts on that last night? Nothing special from the Predators. Were you surprised? Are you happy? Are you mad? Plus, the player that they did pick at 17. Let me state for the record, never seen this person play a day in my life, and I already don't like certain elements of it. We'll explain. Fireball Hot Take Friday, Stillman and Company on 102.5 The Game.
Join 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and Newton Motor Group this summer to help kids in Middle Tennessee. We're teaming up with Souls for Souls to provide shoes to children experiencing homelessness in Nashville and the surrounding area for back to school. Our goal is to raise $20,000, which will provide 1,000 pairs of shoes for kids. To help, go to thegamenashville.com/shoes. Let's do some good this summer. Newton Motor Group is a proud sponsor of Souls for Music City. Newton Motor Group, the best car deals in Nashville. Start at Newton. Visit thegamenashville.com/shoes.
Save big this 4th of July at Electronic Express. Get an LG 55-inch 4K TV for $399 or a Samsung black stainless washer dryer for $549 each. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Xbox S bundle for just $389 or an Acer laptop for $229. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make celebrations happen.
Joe Exeter here inviting you to turn K's into cash this baseball season. Big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. You sign up using promo code Joe102, place your first bet. FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. If you're looking at baseball, obviously one big story this year, the New York teams. I would be looking at both of them and any bets I might be approaching for baseball. Of course, FanDuel, you can do a lot of different things every day. Great promotions. It's safe and secure. You get paid fast. It's very easy. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook. Again, download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code Joe102 to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop in the Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, a dab bar at the Hendersonville location, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
102.5 The Game is teaming up with Newton Motor Group and Souls for Souls to provide shoes for children experiencing homelessness in Nashville and the surrounding area. With school coming back, our goal is to raise $20,000, which will provide 1,000 pairs of shoes for kids. Please help however you can by going to thegamenashville.com/shoes. All donations go directly to Souls for Souls to give shoes to children in Middle Tennessee. thegamenashville.com/shoes.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On ESPN 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
With our first choice, Nashville Predators select from JYP in Finland, Joakim Kemmel.
So there it is, Nashville at 17, Joakim Kemmel, right winger out of Finland, known to have a great shot. And he actually was third in goals at the Helenka Gretzky Cup. A player that a lot of people thought maybe even would have gone a bit higher than 17, no?
And if he didn't get injured, I think that's what we'd be looking at, someone who was in the top 10. For the first month and a half of the season, he was leading Liga in scoring. And if you go back to the great Finnish players in their first year of draft eligibility, typically that success translates to the National Hockey League. If you want to think about Rantanen or Barkov, these types of players. So when he was leading the league at that point, you thought, wow, this guy's unbelievable with what he's doing at 17 years old. And then he got injured, shoulder issues. He wasn't really good at the World Juniors because he wasn't completely healthy. Then the World Juniors get canceled, and he's kind of hanging around. He finally gets back, and he can't pick up the same pace that he had previous to the injury. But then he goes to the under-18s, proves to everyone, okay, everything's okay now. I'm back to being the guy that was a top 10 pick before the injury.
That was Sportsnet's coverage of the draft last night. I actually did flip over from baseball and watched when the Predators were on the clock last night. I was watching the ESPN broadcast, though I'm sure Robbie, Chris, and Willie did a fantastic job. And when they drafted Joakim Kimmel, who I have never, is it Joakim?
It's Joakim.
Joakim Kimmel. When they drafted him, I have never seen this guy. I know nothing about this guy other than the things I read after they drafted him. But I don't love the pick. So, let me explain this. I'm watching ESPN, and the woman on the desk who is like their expert, who's like the Mel Kiper. I've never seen her before in my life, and she knows all these players. And so I guess she's just like the ESPN hockey person. The other people are like the hockey analyst during the year, like when you watch ESPN's football draft coverage, and there's a Booger McFarland on the desk, or there's a Lewis Riddick, or like that's Brian Boucher was on there. And
Same
Kevin
as
Weeks
Mel
was on
Kiper.
there.
He goes into hibernation after the draft.
So I don't know who this woman is, but she may be fantastic at this. She compares him to David Pastrnak.
I did see that.
I'm like, yes, yes. Then I hear the two other analysts start talking about Arvidsson. And I'm like, no. And then I see the guy stand up. I'm like, he's short. I'm like, he is short. So, again, I've never seen this guy play. But I go to The Athletic, where they've got all the draft comparisons and background. And, again, I don't even know who the hell Corey Pronman is, but I guess he's their Dane Brugler as far as this is concerned. And I look at it, and I see that his player comparable is Victor Arvidsson. And now I don't like the pick. Not that Arvidsson was a fine player in his career. He was a fine Predator. But he wasn't an elite talent. And Arvidsson was not a long-term guy, and he wasn't a playoff goal scorer. And he was a fine player for a couple of years because he was little.
Well, I have to wonder, though, is it a comparison of just size, or is it a comparison of all-around player?
Well, I'll put it to you like this.
Because it could be easy to compare the height and the size and say, oh, yeah, in same team.
Here's what the guy said. Well, but again, the comparison was done before the draft. So the comparison to Arvidsson was
because I saw the Pastrnak comparison on NHL.com.
And I was like, yes,
woohoo,
yes.
Pasta.
Here's what they said on The Athletic. Skating, average. Puck skills, NHL average. Hockey sense, NHL average. Compete, above NHL average. Shot, above NHL average. That's Arvidsson. And he's listed at 5'10", 185 pounds. I don't know if those are like hockey combine stats
kind of
or not.
Little guy.
I know this. I saw ESPN had a breakdown of the draft as well, of the first round, the analysis, and they said the biggest knock on this guy is that he's too small. And I saw him when he got up, and I thought he was too small, and the comparisons to Arvidsson. And so I looked last night online to see how big Arvidsson is. And Arvidsson was listed at 5'10", 175. Let me tell you something. I have stood next to Victor Arvidsson many times in my life. Victor Arvidsson is probably as tall, but is not taller than me. If I had to guess, I would say 50% chance that Arvidsson is as tall as me, 45% chance that he's smaller than me, and what's that leave me with?
5%.
A 5% chance that he's taller than me. I am not 5'10". So the idea that Arvidsson's 5'10" is ridiculous. And seeing that guy stand up yesterday, again, hard to judge those kind of things, but I don't want small. And so now you've drafted a guy that the gurus say was a pretty good player and they thought he'd go higher and things like that, but he's small. I don't need small in the first round. You don't take small in the first round. That is, where did you get Arvidsson? The fourth round. That's where, when guys who are good are small, they go later in the draft. That's why they go later in the draft, because they're small. That's why Russell Wilson went in the 3rd round, because normally the big good guys go first, and then there's a question. Do you go with big but not good, or do you go with good but not big? And sometimes you draft big but not good, or athletic but not good, and then you make them good. And sometimes you draft the little, and then the little guy gives you all he can for as long as he can, but he's not going to have the long careers. That's why the little guys around here didn't make it. That's why Roman Yossi can make it, Ryan Johansson can make it, and Victor Arvidsson and Ryan Ellis can't make it because they're too small, and they get hurt, and they don't play well in the playoffs. So I'm not saying this is a bad pick because I don't know anything about the guy, but I don't want small in the 1st round.
But I'm confused. You said that was the athletics evaluation of him, average, above average.
Yes.
I'm confused about that because everything that I've read about him, and I will not consider myself any sort of expert of
you've never seen the
Joakim
guy
Kimmel.
play either.
Yeah, never in my life, and I will never pretend that I did. But so many, NHL.com and so many publications said that he was projected to be a top 10 pick, that this was an absolute steal, that if he hadn't gotten injured this past season, then he easily would have gone top 10. Well, a guy who is average in 2 categories and above average in the other 2 categories per The Athletic doesn't sound like a top 10 pick. So which is it? And I don't know because I've never watched the guy, but it seems like a discrepancy of exactly how talented he is.
And I can't totally go with all of that because, again, I've never watched the guy play. And draft gurus, I mean, just look at the draft gurus in football.
Yeah.
And think about how little they know. I mean, think about how little the teams know when it comes to drafting. I mean, I talked yesterday about the story about this pitcher, Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
That was like the last pick the Braves had in 2020. And the guy's literally like Pedro Martinez and Randy Johnson. Did you see what he did last night?
Did you see the ending of that game last night?
In the 11th inning, I did.
That was a very fun game. But yes, I did see what he did last night.
If he had pitched all the innings, it wouldn't have mattered because no one gets a hit off this guy. It's like Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez mixed into one. I didn't see that in the scouting report during the 2020 draft when he went in the last round. But I don't like small. I don't like small. How many small guys are legitimate first-line ace wingers? I can think of 2.
Okay. Gaudreau. Yeah, it's a good one.
Aho.
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily call him small, but I see what you're going. Yes, I'll buy it.
Marchand.
Okay, he's on the shorter side.
How short is Marchand?
I'd say he's probably listed around 5'10 or 5'11.
Yeah, I think Marchand, because I've stood next to him, I think he's probably about as tall as me. And also,
Braden Point.
Also, sometimes Marchand may be as round as me. Okay, so Braden Point. Now, Braden Point's pretty good.
He's a little on the smaller side.
So should we be disappointed that they went small at 17, Ian?
Not necessarily.
And Braden Point's not a first-round pick. Now, Braden Point is a bad dude. Don't get me wrong. But Aho was a second-round pick. I think Point was, like a fourth-round pick or something? I mean, a lot of these guys are not first-round picks because they're not big, because you don't take small in the first round.
I think Gaudreau was a top pick, I think.
Yeah, Gaudreau's bad.
To go back to our point of, pick a lane, David Boyle, wasn't his 2 biggest things that his goals for the year get younger and get bigger?
Was it get bigger?
I think so.
I don't remember get bigger, but I'll take your word for it. They need to get bigger. They got too
Even
many.
if it wasn't his intention, I think it's all of ours. The Predators need some size.
They've got too many little guys out there. When I watch them play the Avalanche, and I know the Avalanche are picking first and second and fourth and first and third, and I know. But when I'm watching the Avalanche out there, and I'm watching the Predators play in the playoffs, it reminded me of, my high school, USN. We didn't recruit players to play high school sports. And when I was in high school, we had to play the good teams, like the Brentwood Academies, and the guys that bring Brandon Wright out there on the court. That's what I looked at when I saw the Avalanche. It was like looking at Vanderbilt's basketball team against Kentucky. It's like, not really exactly size. I don't want small. I don't want short. I don't want little. And Arvidsson, I think, is the perfect example for me of guys who you want them to do well, but you can't trust them when it matters because he's the little engine that could, and it's Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby in the Cup final. and he just can't.
Nathan McKinnon's not huge.
McKinnon's not huge, but he's certainly bigger than those guys.
Patrick Kane's not huge.
Patrick Kane, I have an interesting story about Patrick Kane that I'd have to say off the air, but I want Patrick Kane on the Predators so bad. Patrick Kane is at least 5'10", though. Like,
I'd say so, probably.
I think all these hockey
but he's
guys,
not,
by
like,
the way,
overly.
I think they all lie about their height.
Oh,
I
remember
everybody in every sport lies
skate
about their height.
with on your skates.
That's ridiculous.
like Rocco Grimaldi listed at 5'10". Okay.
Rocco Grimaldi is
is closer to my height than he is 5'10". And I'm not very vertically gifted.
There's some dudes. I mean, there are some dudes that are like tall. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Pecorine. I mean,
Tall.
Becca was every bit of 6'5". But so again, he might be Gretzky. I don't know.
And that's what I want to keep going back to is I have no idea. I'm just going off of everything that I've read, everything that I've heard.
Well, it's like the Titans. The Titans drafted a wide receiver in the first round. You know what my biggest problem with him is?
Too
fat.
Too big.
I mean, and I just don't want wide receiver. Don't want fat. So that's how I feel about wing. I don't want small. I don't want little. 615-737-1025. There we go with that. 615-737-1025. But look, he may be Gretzky. He may be Gordie Howe. He may be a combination of the two. He may be Lemieux. I don't know. But, again, the comp to Arvidsson bothers me. The comp to Arvidsson bothers me because Arvidsson was a good player, but he wasn't that good.
But I do wonder about that comp because do they see two guys that are on the smaller side? Well,
both right-handed shots, both played for Nashville. I wonder if that kind of comes into it.
So I would agree with you guys, except that the Arvidsson comp
that's
was
another
coming
thing was
before the draft. So
because if it was after the draft, then it'd be like, okay, yeah, we get it.
Like
Nashville.
Nobody, and again, like you don't really comp people to Tom Brady, but nobody would comp Mac Jones to Tom Brady before the draft. But then Mac Jones does some things in this past year when they started to win and they were running the ball.
Well, that's also a natural comp.
It was like, Mac Jones is doing things Brady was doing when he was young.
That's a natural comparison whenever he's following the quarterback. You know, when you're comparing players, that's different than the quarterback that's coming in right after the quarterback who just won you 5 Super Bowls.
I would agree. Let's get to your phones on it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. And again, this may be the greatest draft pick David ever makes. 615-737-1025. We'll get into that. I have a little thought on the Forsberg thing. We'll get to that next. Fireball Hot Take Friday. I love Fireball whiskey. Fireball whiskey goes down so smooth. It'll make you feel like you're 5'10" if you're not 5'10". A Fireball whiskey is the perfect way to celebrate the summer. That's what we're doing all summer long, is we're celebrating with ice-cold Fireball Cinnamon whiskey. Goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. There is no better way to ignite the night than to do it with ice-cold Fireball Cinnamon whiskey. That's right. Fireball Cinnamon whiskey. Ignite the night. Please do responsibly and be 21 years or older to enjoy. That's Fireball Cinnamon whiskey.
Hey, this is Matt Duchene, and this is Smashville.
Running down the left side with Duchene. Duchene scores! Matt Duchene with the overtime winner.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
With your home value up again, you are sitting on a pile of money. So don't let it sit there. Use it. Willie Donick here for my friends once again at Loan Pronto. Introducing Loan Pronto's Equity Line of Credit program. You don't have to refinance, but you can access up to 97% of your home's value. Get cash now to pay off all your credit cards, or do that home improvement project. Get your down payment for a new home, or stash away for a safety net. You can get $50,000, even $100,000 or more out of your home, and the payments are crazy low. Think what you could do with $100,000 right now. Loan Pronto makes unlocking your equity easy, and they can probably even waive the appraisal. Don't just let all that home equity pile up. Turn your house into an ATM machine and get the cash you need. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, I'm Matt Saggio.
I'm a marketing consultant with Cromwell Media. I get the opportunity to help local and regional businesses grow by pairing the right marketing solutions with their goals. You hear advertisers I work with on the radio every day, and you see their digital ads on your phone. I love what I do, and I've been doing this for going on 10 years. Are you looking for a rewarding career in media advertising? Do you love helping people? Let's talk about you joining our team. Shoot us an email at together@cromwellmedia.com. That's together@cromwellmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? Quality oil like Valvoline Full Synthetic can help you get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $36.99. Got an older vehicle? Try Valvoline Full Synthetic high mileage options. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Stillman Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
He scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Yoakum, what would you kind of say about the strengths of your game and what you bring to the table? What should Predators fans know about the way that you play the game?
Yeah, I'm a goal scorer and like to score a lot, but still can play like all-around game.
There you go. That was on the draft show last night. He's a goal scorer, but he likes to play an all-around game.
Love it.
There you go. By the way, I am amazed at something. You know, years ago, and I think I've told this story on the air, but if I haven't, I'm sorry. Jerry Halper, who used to run PR from day one for the Predators, good man. Jerry Halper used to tell me that he told Barry Trotz one time that the day that people start calling into talk radio shows to complain who's on the power play will be the day that we know that we've made it as an organization in this city. And I have to be honest with you. I am amazed today. We have phones on people that want to get in on Joakim Kimmel. That is, again,
That's a good moment for this hockey town.
I don't like, this is going to sound crazy, I don't like taking a short guy in the first round. Other than that, I have no idea. Like I said, he could be Gretzky.
Yeah.
But the fact that we can talk about it on the radio and take phones on it, that is like
an 18-year-old Finnish hockey player.
That should be like they took Tolvanen in the first round coming off of the Cup appearance, and we couldn't talk about it until Tolvanen went to the Olympics and went ham. Like, this is like, I almost want there to be like a big trumpet, like a da. This day in Nashville Predators history, narrated by Pete Weber. On Friday, July 8th, 2022, the Nashville Predators were the flagship station was taking calls on an 18-year-old Finnish kid that nobody had ever seen play.
Hockey Town.
Fireball Hot Take Friday. It's your day. Weston's up next on Joakim Kimmel. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Weston.
Yeah, it really perplexed me, kind of like y'all were talking about the comparison to Arvidsson. And we don't need, like you said, we don't need small. We need bigger, faster. We need stronger players. I mean, you look at the McDonough trade, that was great for the defensive side of hockey, but I was watching the Avalanche there in Game 4. We're just not as fast as the rest of the league right now, and we need to make some moves and make some moves quick.
Can I say this about the Predators and speed? Thank you for your call, Weston. They've never been a fast team. I mean, I guess I wasn't as big of a fan in the, like, Paul Kariya,
You don't
Peter
think the
Forsberg.
President's Trophy team was fast?
I don't think so. I mean, I felt like that team was completely outskated by Winnipeg. I think that the high-end guys for Colorado in that series, albeit very young, I thought they kind of skated around the Predators. I thought Dallas both skated past and manhandled the Predators the next year in the playoffs. I mean, I really think going back to it, without like rewatching those series, I really think if you go back to the Laviolette era, they got beat by Chicago in 15. I thought Chicago was way faster than them. That was, Taves and Kane in their primes. I thought they were way faster than the Predators. They beat Anaheim in that first series, which I thought Pekka Rinne legitimately stole the series. Anaheim was a much better team than them in 2016. Then they completely got outwaxed, especially from a speed standpoint against that San Jose team. I keep thinking about that series, and I have memories of Brent Burns just going end to end like a freaking ballerina on the ice. Like what I would have expected Nancy Kerrigan to be if she had gotten the opportunity to compete in the Olympics. Like that.
Until she got Tanya'd.
How big's Brent Burns? 6'6"?
Maybe like 6'3".
Like Brent Burns, a 6'3", 220-pound defenseman, just like Michelle Kwan, just all over the ice in that 7-game series. I mean, I think they got completely outskated by – I don't think completely outskated, but I think they got outskated by Pittsburgh in the Cup final. Specifically, at the Cup final, to me, I thought the two teams were fairly even, and then one team had Crosby and Malkin and Kessel, and the other one didn't. The Predators also had some injuries. I don't know, maybe. But I felt like the series where they really thrived were kind of those big physical teams, and I thought they played well in those. What do we have in the text line?
We've got a doozy to start off with.
Okay.
William texts in and says, the Nashville runts. The reason Nashville drafts small guys is because they're woke, weak, and soft. They don't want to be accused of toxic masculinity.
They're woke?
They're woke.
Okay.
And that's why they don't draft big players. Because they're woke, weak, and soft.
That's a hot take on Fireball Hot Take Friday. That's also a hot take because who just bought the team? The former Republican governor of the state just bought the team. And we're going to sit here and say, you know what? I'll tell you, that liberal franchise, you mean the one that's owned by the governor of Tennessee, the former governor? You do realize that in today's culture war society, and now when Bill Haslam was governor, life, especially politically, was a lot simpler and easier. You do not, in the culture war society, you do not become governor of Tennessee by being woke.
And if we're going to talk about woke hockey teams here, let's maybe entertain some hockey teams that are in more traditionally liberal cities, as in Toronto or Montreal or New York City or Los Angeles. Or Seattle.
One of my friends just texted me and said, not sure who John Leonard, who the Predators acquired in that deal for Luke Cunnin, said, not sure who John Leonard is, but I would have made that trade even if he was a toaster.
Well, I mean, I saw the trade.
Bag of pucks.
And I said, I don't even care what the return is because I'm fine with it.
Bag of pucks.
If it's a bagel, great. Enjoy your breakfast.
Boy, Cunnin. He went in the wrong direction. All right, I have a thought on Forsberg. We'll do that next. 615-737-1025. Fireball Hot Take Friday. Stillman and Company on 1025 The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. A high of 97 today, heat index as high as 115, and a few isolated storms, better storm chances on Saturday.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Ever wonder what toys do when people aren't around? With the Nashville Symphony performing the score live, Disney Pixar's Toy Story answers that question with a fantastic, fun-filled journey, viewed mostly through the eyes of two rival toys, Woody, the lanky, likable cowboy, and Buzz Lightyear, the fearless space ranger. Toy Story in concert with the Nashville Symphony, July 8th through the 10th, including a Sunday matinee performance. Presented by Disney Concerts. Get your tickets now at NashvilleSymphony.org.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
This is a big month for some of our teammates at Cromwell Media. At 102.5, 106.3 The Game, producer Kenny Adams is celebrating a 10-year anniversary. Also at The Game, morning show producer Michelle Knezovic and part-time producer Nick Kieser are both crossing the 1-year mark. At 102.9 The Buzz, Eric Steele, our rock star evening host, and Andy Herron, a part-time host, have been with us for 8 years. We are Cromwell Media and proud of our employees who commit themselves to excellence every day. Want to join our team? Contact us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Throughout the country, buried pipelines are indicated by a pipeline right-of-way. A long, wide stretch of grass cleared of trees and marked with signs. If you have a right-of-way near your home, do not plant anything in it or dig in it. Do not install a fence or build your kids a super cool fort without first getting the pipeline operator's approval. For more on pipeline safety, visit pipesafety.org. A message from the Tennessee Gas Association, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz. Darren McFarland.
I feel like we're a better playoff team.
Willie Donick.
You're in a window of a division you can win.
Chase McCabe.
I'm not signing him for more than $1 million.
The DDC. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
As far as the free agency component of this, and specifically to a guy like Forsberg, who, again, you know, a lot of indications are he's not going to hit the market, but if he does, some of these general managers, I think, are really hoping that some of the free agents that they have, like, for example, Evander Kane with the Edmonton Oilers. Like, he's going to test the market. He's going to see if the grass is greener. Their gamble is that it's not going to be as green as he thinks it is, because so many of the teams that he'd want to play for are cap strapped, are under a flat cap, are trying to re-sign their own players and may not be able to fit him in. And if that's the case, well, come on back to Edmonton, Evander Kane. So there's going to be a lot of that gambling from these teams. They're going to let their guys dip their toe, and then they're going to hopefully come back home when they don't necessarily find the deals that they think they can get on the open market.
There you go. That was Greg Wyshynski on the DDC. And I think Philip Forsberg would be a perfect example of this. You think anybody is going to offer him close to the money he's getting offered right now? Again, for the Predators to offer 8.4, another team over 7 years would have to offer 9.6. Plus a full no movement clause. Do you think any team in the league would do that?
No.
Now, they might, but I don't think they would.
Maybe a close AAV, but then again, why would you take 8.4 over 7 when you could take 8.4 over 8 with a full no movement clause? I would think it's a very far stretch that you get a full no move from another team.
So everybody who covers the team locally, and I don't know what to read into this, but I definitely got this vibe today from Darren and Willie, and it kind of got this vibe on the show last night, the draft show. Like, the local vibe is now, this deal's going to get done.
Yeah.
And I laugh out loud because it never made any sense for it to not work out. How long have I been saying 100% for?
From the jump.
I mean, like, from the beginning, This idea, people are like, well, what if Forsberg doesn't think the team's going to be good enough and he wants to? He ain't worried about that.
Well, if he thought that, I think he'd be gone by now.
Yeah, they wouldn't be as deep in the weeds on a negotiation right now.
Right.
I think the Predators, whatever it is they're offering, David, if you're listening to this on the $8 Wi-Fi on the commercial flight back from Montreal, don't budge. He can't get a better deal somewhere else. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that.
He knows that.
I know. Who, Philip or David?
Forsberg.
I don't know if Philip does know that, but it doesn't matter. He should be smart enough to understand it. Evander Kane. What do we have in the text line? 615-737-1025.
One texter texts in and says, I'm only interested in trading for, as Jared says, big boy forwards. Given what Alex DeBrincat went for, it doesn't seem like the 17th pick could have been a key piece in a trade for someone of that caliber. For that reason, I'd rather spend just cap space on a middle six forward that they draft and a prospect capital, and I'm fine with no trade last night.
So I think that the thing that is creative about this is that the Predators could, in theory, use their cap space to get more picks. I think an example of this last night, Toronto traded their first-round pick to Chicago and got Chicago's second-round pick, but Chicago had to take on Peter Mrazek, the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And, Ian, have they shipped Mrazek out, Chicago?
Not that I'm aware of yet. Not that I've seen. It's possible.
Toronto has had no cap space, so they had to ship out They had to ship out somebody.
Right.
And they're not wanting to break up Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Tavares, and Tavares has a full no move. So they didn't want to do any of that. So they moved Mrazek, but they have to trade a pick and kind of swap with the second to the first. And I wonder if the Predators could have used their cap space to do something like that. That even goes back to Ian on Monday or Tuesday or whatever it was, opining that maybe they didn't get enough in the Ryan McDonagh trade. Because, yeah, they got the player, but Tampa had to get rid of him. And it's like, could they have gotten a pick in return, as well as, really holding Tampa's feet to the fire?
Knowing that Tampa was the desperate side of the situation.
So could the Predators have used more cap space to acquire players that aren't all that desirable? I'll put it to you like this. If the Predators had a chance to get a legitimate high-end center, would you trade? Let's say the Predators were let's say the Predators could get a true number one game-changing center.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dylan Larkin. Do you think Dylan Larkin qualifies as that, Ian?
That's a good question. He is pretty good. He's been an all-star. I don't know if I could say quite game changer. He might be tier 1B.
Okay, give me a game-changing center that if the Predators got today, your mouth would salivate.
Let's see. Braden Point
for sure.
as a center. I mean, McKinnon obviously would be great. Some of these guys, not necessarily stand out. Jack Eichel, just got traded to Vegas. He's kind of like their number one center now. That's why
I wanted to get in on that one, too. And Adam was like, if you start talking about the Predators should acquire Jack Eichel, I'll be so mad.
Why?
I don't know.
Draisaitl, something like that.
Okay.
Those guys are legit.
Draisaitl.
Okay.
Let's go Draisaitl. So you can get Leon Draisaitl, but you have to clear cap space in order to do that. Again, this is completely hypothetical, and you cannot in any way get Leon Draisaitl. But let's just use Draisaitl.
Okay.
Who, by the way, is a Predators killer. I think he probably kills a lot of people, but he really kills the Predators. Would you trade next year's first-round pick to have somebody take Johansson in order to get Draisaitl?
Yes.
Yes! So that's what I'm saying is, could they have done that? Use that. Now, David told Adam Vingan that they wouldn't do it, but could they have done that, gotten a little something, and then turned around and flipped it, and then use that pick and the 17th pick and move up high into the draft and get your big boy forward? Could they have done something like that? I don't know the answer. But I was wondering, if you would put that out there. What else we got?
Davis texts in and says, you draft small when it's talented. Kyler Murray and Devontae Smith were both first-round picks and small.
Okay, so Kyler Murray as the first overall pick, I would not have done. I don't think that Kyler Murray has...
you see it now. He struggles throwing the ball over a tall defensive line.
I think when the rest of your draft class sucked at quarterback, it's hard to say that was a bad pick because Daniel Jones has sucked and Dwayne Haskins, may he RIP, was not very good, and Drew Lock has sucked. And so when the rest of your draft class was horrible, it's easy to sit there and say, well, Kyler's not a superstar, but Kyler's better. But who's better between Kyler and Kirk Cousins?
I would take Kyler, but
I think it's like
I
negligible.
think you could have the debate.
Yeah. So to me,
it's hard because one of them is significantly younger than the other, but
it's like Baker. I think Baker's probably as good as Kyler.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've accomplished as much. Baker's a little bit. I think Baker's better than Kyler.
I would honestly take Baker over Kyler if you were giving me the two options.
Okay, now let's go with athletic. Athletic traits of quarterbacks in that Baker Mayfield class. Baker is athletic, but he lacks the size of your traditional starting quarterback. You know who doesn't? Josh Allen.
True.
You know who was in that draft?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. You know who the most athletic quarterback in that draft was? Lamar
Allen.
Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
So you got we're talking elite athletic traits. That's what you draft. Now, I'm not saying that you wouldn't draft Baker in the first round because Baker was definitely a first-round pick at the time. But that when you're drafting in the first round, you got to go big. Like the big good guys always beat the good little guys.
Were Baker and Lamar in the same draft class?
Yeah, Baker. It was Baker, Lamar,
Josh
Sam
Allen.
Darnold, Josh Allen, and Josh Rosen.
What a good quarterback draft.
Well, unless you drafted Sam Darnold
or Josh Rosen.
615-737-1025. We'll get to more of your phones. Plus, there's a little news on the conference expansion front, but there was some possible news yesterday that didn't materialize. And yet, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if it did. I'll explain. That's next. Right here, 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company on 102.5 The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee! 3-ball, yes, sir!
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Their service and parts team will get your work site up and running in no time. Parman Tractor and Equipment will come to you for service if needed. Visit ParmanTractor.com for more info. Your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer, providing totally outrageous customer service.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing, towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
I think they're done on defense because I think that he's going to play with either Yossi or Ekholm on one of those top pairs, and whichever pair he plays on with that guy will be your best defensive pair because he's your best defensive defenseman. I think that he will play on one of those top pairs, and I don't care about the third pair. Those are always a pair of Scarbinis, and just throw anybody out there and just let them get out there. And so, to me, Fabro's got to be the fourth guy. Now, I don't think Fabro's that good, and I have many a time been frustrated at his lack of being good, but he should be able to be the fourth guy. It should be Yossi and McDonough and Ekholm and Fabro, or Yossi and Fabro and Ekholm and McDonough. I don't care.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
For the love of the climb, for the love of the fall, for the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is. For the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Hillside Medical Game Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
NASCAR is back. Kyle Larson returns to Nashville Superspeedway a winner.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome game 7.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
a Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury. He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. I cannot believe that ESPN put this behind a paywall, but Heather Dinich, who is probably their best college football on-the-record reporter, Pete Thamel's probably their best off-the-record reporter, their newsbreaker, whatever, but Heather Dinich is their best. You know, I talked to so-and-so, and here's what they told me. So she talked to Notre Dame's athletic director, Jack Swarbrick.
Mm-hmm.
And Swarbrick's an old guy, and he's a pretty straight shooter. Like when Brian Kelly left to go to LSU, he basically said Kelly told him how much money he was going to get from LSU, and said, well, guess that's it.
It's nice knowing ya.
So Swarbrick, I guess, talked to Heather Dinich, and ESPN shoved it behind a paywall.
Yeah, I don't know why this was an ESPN Plus article. I always see the ESPN Plus articles being like, top 10 quarterbacks and things like that. Yeah.
So I think they're trying to get
Not
everybody.
reporting.
I think they're trying to get everybody to join ESPN Plus.
Yes, I think that's what they've been trying to do for quite some time.
And so you take things like this that people want to see. The problem with this is every 10th person everybody who works in sports has an ESPN Plus account.
And The Athletic, too.
Yeah. And so what happens is if you have, important news, then it just gets aggregated somewhere for free.
Right.
So even if you don't want to pay for it. I mean, I have ESPN Plus, and I like ESPN Plus.
I love ESPN Plus.
But
it's worth it.
If there's something important, you'll be able to find it. So Jack Swarbrick talked to Heather Dinich and was asked about, conference realignment, and he was asked about the news last week about USC and UCLA. And he said, much like Texas and Oklahoma, I was surprised at the timing less than the actual move. So I think a lot of people weren't stunned about USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten because of the money. But Swarbrick keeps going, or Dinich keeps asking, and this is the important thing. This is why she called. Mm-hmm. Would Notre Dame relinquish its historic independent status? Now, I have not read the grant of rights with the ACC. I do know that Notre Dame is included in on it, obviously not at the level of every other ACC school. If the ACC grant of rights is not as ironclad as people make it out to be, then Notre Dame, or not just Notre Dame, but then the conference is going to get picked apart, and the ACC's done so. If it is as ironclad, then the ACC probably sticks together, probably grabs Pac-12 teams, and goes on from there. But the important thing is Notre Dame, because Notre Dame is by far the best free agent on the market.
Oh, yeah.
Notre Dame is to college football if Joe Burrow were to be an untaggable free agent in the NFL right now. So, would Notre Dame relinquish its historic independent status? Swarbrick tells ESPN, quote, "We don't feel any particular urgency. We think there's ample time for us to let the landscape settle. To me, that is Notre Dame throwing up the stop sign, saying we're not going to be next." Now, we're not ruling out the idea that we could go to a conference, and if they go to the Big Ten or the SEC, then I think the idea of two super conferences is very much alive. If they go to the ACC, then I think the ACC is forever saved, and they could probably add a couple of more schools and be the third conference. So what Notre Dame decides to do is very important in on this. But he's saying they want to see the landscape play out. That tells me Notre Dame is saying, for right now, we're standing on the sidelines. If we feel like we have to get in, we'll get in. But right now, we're standing on the sidelines. That's big news, which should not be behind a paywall.
And I don't think that that's any sort of surprising news. I really thought from the very beginning, as soon as this move happened, everyone was looking to Notre Dame. What's Notre Dame's next move? But I was saying from the very beginning, I don't think that Notre Dame is going to make any sort of move unless they absolutely have to. I think a lot of schools out there are panicking, Oregon being one of them, Clemson being one of them, of, okay, what's our next move? Where are we the safest? Notre Dame is sitting pretty, and they basically get the pick of the litter whenever they see fit.
So Notre Dame is the hottest girl at the dance.
Uh-huh.
Jack Swarbrick says, the three things that would make continuing as an independent unsustainable would be the loss of a committed broadcast partner, the loss of a fair route into the postseason, or such adverse financial consequences that you had to reconsider. So basically, if NBC said, hey, we're not going to pay top dollar for you guys to put Notre Dame games on NBC, then Swarbrick would say, okay, we have to join. If Notre Dame can't get into the playoff because all the teams that they normally play won't play them because they're all super conference games, then Notre Dame would have to join a league. Or if they couldn't make any money and they had to do it, then Notre Dame would join a league. There was a tweet yesterday, though, that I saw it, and it had a blue check mark, and I had never heard of the guy with the blue check mark, and I had never heard of the guy or the company that the guy wrote for.
Swim Swam News.
But then again, I had never heard of Sportico, and they reported that the Predators got sold. So, I mean, blue check mark.
Well, yeah.
So I didn't take the bait on this, but the guy did tweet out that – I'm trying to find the tweet here. But the guy tweeted out that Carolina and Virginia and like two other ACC schools were going to go – here, I got it. The guy said, sources – this was yesterday – North Carolina, Florida State, Clemson, and Virginia are all negotiating to join the SEC. ESPN is trying to void their TV deal with the ACC. Now, I texted that in, and then I texted you guys, and I'm like, I don't think that's true. Simply because why would ESPN void a TV deal? ESPN can't void a TV deal.
See, that's the thing with this tweet. There are two parts of it. One is very believable, and the other one is questionable.
And for about 25 minutes, it sent everybody into a panic of like, here we go again. Yep. Here we go. And here's why. Because it's so believable. Because at this point, college conferences don't matter anymore. So the idea of everybody – I talked to an athletic director. He was talking to another athletic director, and the other athletic director said to him, you know, I could be lying to you and you could be lying to me and have no idea. And that's just how it is. It is straight up the Wild West. Now, I'm not going to be one of these people that whines and cries about it and says, you know, hey, we should have a commissioner that keeps this from happening. I'm not doing any of that. But this is where we are right now as far as paranoia in college football is concerned, that I think if you're Duke, you're on the phone with Carolina and you're saying, hey, man, like, we're a package deal, right? And Carolina's like, yeah. And at the same time, if you're Duke, you know that if push came to shove and Fox said they wanted Carolina but they didn't want Duke, that you'd be screwed. They know that. I mean, Wake Forest is sitting there thinking to themselves, man, we've been part of this tobacco road for forever, but we know that if all these other schools had a chance to get out of here, this is exactly what they would do. And so right now, I would say any rumor you hear about college football conference realignment, most media people would tell you the opposite of what I'm about to tell you. Most media people in sports would tell you, don't believe it until whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you that, honestly, anything that you could see as a rumor or that you would hear as a rumor is probably being talked about by the people who make those decisions. And it would not surprise me if at 5 o'clock today something dropped about Oregon and Washington to the Big Ten, or the Big 12, is giving, is adding these Conference USA schools or something like that. I mean, the things I think, like even the ACC Pac-12 partnership, that loose partnership they've talked about, that sounds so incredibly stupid.
It does.
On the surface of college football, this idea of, so we're not going to mix the conferences, so we're not going to put Oregon in the same conference as NC State.
But they might play each other a couple times a year.
But we're going to have a championship game in Vegas. What? So it's all stupid. It's all crazy. It's all wild. It's all, and Fox and ESPN are sitting there kind of as kingmaker, and when they decide to get people to move, that's when they'll move. I still believe, from what I've been told in the ACC front, the idea of challenging the grant of rights is such a risky proposition. That, I think, is the hardest part for everybody to sit there and say, well, let's poach the two Florida schools, Florida State and Miami, Clemson, North Carolina and Duke, and then honestly the rest of the ACC, you can have Boston College. You can have Boston College, Wake Forest, Louisville. The rest of them you can have. Virginia you need. So I don't think that those schools can move. Do I think, though, that they will try to add people to the ACC and then redo the contract?
Stabilize it.
That I could see. And then do a shorter contract, which means people could get out of it before 2036. That I could see. But we can sit here and say, like, I saw, media people with blue check marks talking down to college football fans that panicked yesterday when they saw this tweet out there about North Carolina, Florida State, Clemson, and Virginia leaving the ACC as like, oh, God, people, don't be so gullible. Carolina sources say they're not trying to leave the league. And I'm like, I'll say this. I don't need a source. Carolina people have talked about leaving the league this week. They have talked about that. Corey Curtis wants to weigh in on this next. He will. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Corey Curtis from News 2 right here, Stillman and Company on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. If I haven't said it's Fireball Hot Take Friday, you know it's just something because I absolutely love it. Join 1025 and 1063 The Game and Newton Motor Group this summer to help kids in Middle Tennessee as we team up with Souls for Souls to provide shoes to children experiencing homelessness in Nashville and the surrounding areas. With school coming back, our goal is to raise $20,000, which will provide 1,000 pairs of shoes for kids, but we can't do it without you. Please help however you can by going to thegamenashville.com/shoes. All donations will go directly to Souls for Souls to give shoes in Middle Tennessee to children experiencing homelessness. That's thegamenashville.com/shoes. Newton Motor Group is a proud sponsor of Souls for Music City. Newton Motor Group, the best car deals in Nashville start at Newton.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840,
Players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Staples has everything you need for school at prices that won't hold you back. Don't send your kids back to school, send them forward at Staples, the working and learning store.
Hello, Nashville. Looking to save money on your wireless bill? You can when you choose Consumer Cellular. Sign up today and you'll get the exact same coverage as the leading carriers for half the cost. This gives you direct access to the widest, most established cellular networks available. Consumer Cellular offers flexible monthly plans with no contract and simple, affordable service that's perfect for your lifestyle and budget. Featuring a wide variety of top-of-the-line phones from Samsung, Motorola, and Apple, you'll find a phone that's perfect for you. Everything is backed by a 100% risk-free guarantee, plus 100% U.S.-based award-winning customer support. Switch your talk, text, and data plan before July 31st and get $100 on every new line of service. Right-size your plan and downsize your bill with Consumer Cellular. Visit consumercellular.com/Nashville100 and enter code Nashville100 to start saving today.
Hey, it's Mark Howard here. You've heard me talk about my friends at Apple Collision Centers for a while now, and today I'm here with CEO Stan Harrison to tell you about how they can help ease your stress with your auto body repair.
That's right, Mark. We have 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Our people are homegrown right here in Middle Tennessee with over 75 years experience. We can help with all your auto body repair needs.
So stop by and see Stan and his team today and tell them Mark sent you, or visit them online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Signs First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
So many people here are getting real lasting joint pain relief from QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics has changed my life.
I would recommend QC to anybody. The work that QC Kinetics did paid off exponentially.
It brought me back to an effective age of almost in my 20s and 30s.
QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge regenerative medicine, natural biologics from your own body, precision treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your aching joints, with no meds, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime.
I got a very quick resolution to my
my pain.
It is a all-natural therapy. You're using you to fix you.
I got my life back. I got my smile back. And best of all, I got my laugh back.
Don't live with that pain anymore. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Learn more about regenerative options from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
We here at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
Never miss a moment of the show. What is this? Check it out. Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On ESPN 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Again, Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director at Notre Dame, talking to ESPN, which for some reason ESPN shoved behind a paywall, which I cannot understand. Basically said Notre Dame is not interested right now at expanding, which would make me wonder what would be the next move. Corey Curtis joins us now, News 2, here on the program. Corey Curtis on a Fireball Hot Take Friday presented by Smokeville Smoke Shop. So, Corey, I want to start with this. Your reaction to the latest in college expansion and where you think we're headed from here.
Well, I continue to think we're headed to two mega conferences. I don't think that there's any way around it. And Notre Dame may want to drag its feet. It's going to come down to when the SEC and the ACC decide they're going to hold their own national championship, and if Notre Dame can't be invited to that party, they're going to want to be in that party. And so that's when it is going to happen. The Big Ten would like Notre Dame in right now, but for whatever reason, they want to drag their feet until they're actually forced to do it. But I think that destination to me is inevitable.
Okay, let's follow that line of thinking then. Let's say that's what happens. The SEC and the Big Ten decide they're going to have their own playoff. So forget about the rest of the college football playoff. So they have something new. I don't know what we'd call it. The College Football Championship of Excellence. And they get their own TV partners. And you get 6 SEC teams. And you get 6 Big Ten teams in. And none of the other teams can participate. You think people are going to watch that?
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Because I'll say this. If you were to say, all right, the Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, Braves, Dodgers, they're going to break away from baseball, and they're going to compete for their own championship. I mean, there's a reason that these antitrust exemptions exist, because people like the championships that they have now. None of these leagues, nothing has ever happened where they've created a special second kind of championship and anybody has paid any attention to it.
Well, Jared, I mean, who's playing for the national championship every year now? I mean, we have, 6, 7 teams maybe that have fought it out the last 10 years? Alabama,
I mean, I would say
Georgia,
3, but
Notre
I guess
Dame.
add Georgia 4. You know, it's really been Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Georgia.
Okay, so look, all those teams are going to be in this mix, all right? All the players are going to be in the mix. So what difference does it make?
How does Clemson get into that with the grant of rights through 2036?
Look, the amount of money that they're going to make to play in the SEC will make up for whatever amount that they're going to have to lose over time.
There's no way that's true.
You don't think there's any way they ever make up for the amount of money that they have to pay to get out?
So I was told this week by somebody who would know that according to the grant of rights, now they can challenge it in court and maybe they'll win, but I mean, that's a risky proposition. If a team in the ACC were to leave the ACC, then they would owe the ACC its rights through 2036. So if Clemson were to jump to the SEC, then the ACC would own those home rights. So even if they were to jump to the SEC, if they played Alabama at home, or they were to make it to the SEC championship game, the ACC would own those rights, and that is a hundreds of millions of dollars problem.
That is a hundreds of millions of dollar problem, and we've had hundreds of millions of dollars problems before. I mean, what did we talk about Oklahoma and Texas? 150 to 250 million.
But that's why they're waiting.
Yeah, but do you think they're going to wait?
Yeah, I mean, their deal, I think, is up after this year, and then they're going to go after
their
this year.
deal's up in 2025.
When are they joining?
The Big 12 is 2025.
So when is Texas and Oklahoma joining?
2025.
Yeah, I do. I think they'll wait.
You think they'll wait? I don't think there's any way in the world that they'll wait. They'll pay.
I'd be shocked if they actually waited till 2025.
Oh, I think they'll wait.
They'll pay. They'll pay because they can. They'll pay because they can. How much of the year are they going to get playing in the Big 12? Like
so
20 million,
I believe the fine to the Big 12 is $80 million.
Okay, so $80 million, and then that's different than what would it be? 14 years worth of rights?
And I don't know how much that would be.
I mean, that's 14 years.
Yeah,
is a
no,
lot.
it's a big deal. I'm not going to say that it's not, but there's ways out of everything. And I read where one ACC athletic director said, ultimately, at the end of the day, if the SEC asks, they're gonna listen because the finances will outweigh it. The reward will outweigh the crushing blow that they're going to get. And so, I mean, you already hear 10 schools asking the Big Ten about joining. The chairs are moving, and people don't want to get left out at the end of the day. It's just that simple. I mean, if you're telling me all these ACC members are going to be in the ACC until 2036, I think you're crazy. I don't think they'll find a way out. I don't think there's any way that this thing sticks together for this long. I just don't see it.
Do you think that the interest of college football would be the same if we have a 2-team Super League where each of the 2 leagues gets 6 bids and thus essentially eliminates conference championship games? And, for instance, Corey, your channel, ABC, every year you guys on Saturday night have a big conference championship game that usually has playoff implications, whether it's the Big 12 or the Pac-12 or the ACC or whatever. You guys usually have that game. Those games would not matter anymore if the 2 leagues split away from those. Do you think that's something ESPN wants to do?
Yeah, you're talking about 4 conference championship games or 5 or whatever. Now you're talking about replacing them with playoff games. The playoff games will be worth infinitely more. I mean, to have if you're talking about having 6 playoff teams in each division, you're creating many more meaningful games, and games that are even more meaningful than conference championship games, because those have implications. You say these are win or go home. Okay, so I think playoff games are far more attractive than conference championship games. I mean, look at the SEC basketball tournament. Does it mean anything? No, it doesn't mean a darn thing. And I know we're talking about football here. And at the end of the day, most of these conference championships don't mean a hill of beans. I mean, sometimes they do, but not really. Alabama's getting in anyway. Georgia's getting in anyway. I mean, Alabama, every time they play in the SEC championship, they could lose 48-0, and they could still be in the Final Four.
Except that that's exactly the opposite case of last year, where Alabama had to win against Georgia or else they had no chance to make the playoff. And that's where, I mean, I look at you probably look at the ratings for college football just like I do. They're good, and they're good for Ohio State, and they're good for the big SEC game of the week, and they're okay for those kind of second-tier games. But the conference championship games are humongous. And I got to believe that now, given the firepower that the Big Ten and the SEC have, they could expand the playoff today, and the other leagues would go along with it if they felt like they could get a seat at the table. And so you'd still have your expanded playoff games, but then ESPN would still have meaningful packages with the other 3 leagues, and that's what I think ESPN really, truly wants.
So you think they want to keep like 4 or 5 conferences, keep the conference championship games, and expand the playoffs?
I think if ESPN could get 4 big conferences in which they own the rights to the ACC, own the rights to the SEC, own the rights to the Big 12, Pac-12, whatever that becomes, and Fox has the Big Ten, and then they have the college football playoff, I think they would prefer that as to this Super League with no Clemson in it right now or no Oregon in it right now. The Oregon will be in it, but I think that they would prefer that, yes.
So I mean, basically what we're looking at is the dissolving of the Pac-12 and having it absorbed by the Big 12, SEC, Big 10, and then keeping these things in play until the ACC rights run out in 2036, and we can dissolve that one too.
Yeah, but when the ACC rights run out at that point, I think that, rights are so expensive nowadays that I feel like that if they had a seat at the table for the playoff, that ESPN would want to keep the status quo of more inventory, more inventory, more inventory. Like, there's no way to me that they could do.
But if you were Florida State or Miami and you could go play in the SEC and make infinitely more money, wouldn't you want to leave to go join that conference?
I think you would, but that's where I think if you're the TV networks, you have to spend the money to keep it together so that you have a league. I mean, I think a player in this that nobody talks about because the rights are so big, I think it's CBS. For instance, the Pac-12 and the Big 12, if CBS were to say, hey, we don't have college football anymore, we were going to offer $1 bajillion for the SEC, ESPN offered double that, so let's get the Pac-12 and the Big 12 so that CBS has something, or CBS saves up its money and just goes and gets the playoff, that's a complete and total game changer, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just, is CBS going to want to be in that business? Is NBC going to want to be in that business? Because we've seen networks want to be in the sports business before and get out of the sports business before. I mean, I'm at a station where we had Monday Night Football, which was a juggernaut forever, and we were completely out of the NFL for years after that, which made no sense to me whatsoever, but it's what we did. I mean, NBC had the AFC package forever and lost it to Fox, or lost it to CBS, and CBS lost the NFC to Fox. So we've seen people make these moves, get in and out of these moves before, and we'll see what they have the appetite for when that time comes. But I continue to think that we're not done. That's for sure. Maybe we don't get to the 232 team Super Leagues like I think we do, but how many teams are we at the Big Ten at this moment? 16?
Something like that.
16. Would you be surprised if the SEC and Big Ten weren't at 20 in the next 3 years?
I think 24 is probably the number where they'll both land on.
Okay, so they both land on 24. And what do the Big 12 and the ACC land on then?
I think that those two combined would probably, once the Pac-12 gets rated, I think you probably would be looking at 24 between the Pac-12. Like the Pac-12 and either the Big 12 or the Pac-12 and the ACC would probably land in the 24 range too.
So we're looking at the Big 12, the Big 10 and the Big 10 and the SEC both being 24, and then two other leagues remaining at 12 each, and so combined at 24. So 72 teams.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, that sounds like a legitimate amount of players involved. It's just going to be interesting to see, how they control this national championship, playoff narrative. And I know the TV networks play a big role in that, but, who they want to involve and who they don't want to involve. I mean, if the UCFs of the world thought it was tough to get involved with that before, it's going to be impossible going forward because – these guys have all the money, they've got all the teams, and they've got all the cachet. And, there are bigger conversations to this as to what's going to happen to the business of college football and how players are paid, not paid.
Traylon Burks posted a photo without a shirt on the boat. I don't know if you saw this or not. Sounds like you did because you just chuckled. So Traylon Burks posted a picture on a boat. TD said his response to it was, it kind of looks like me without a shirt on. And obviously, TD is not an out-of-shape guy. But no. TD is also not, TD's also, like 40? So.
And not a professional athlete.
Yeah. So, Traylon Burks posts a picture. The guy next to him looked freaking cut. But Traylon did not. Derek Mason's response to the picture of Traylon Burks was, quote, he looks like a regular guy that goes to the gym. He works out, but maybe not as hard as he should or can. You can tell he's working out, but is his trainer pushing him. Corey, we've been told it'll be okay with Burks. He's got plenty of time. He's on the boat. He's on the beach. Are you worried about Traylon Burks?
I'm not worried about being on the boat. I'm not worried about being on the beach.
Even though he posted on the boat with a bag of Doritos.
Well, I was going to bring up the Doritos. Look, we all eat Doritos at some point. I mean, good Lord, if you and I post a picture of ourselves on the boat with our shirts off with Doritos, it would not be a good-looking sight. We would not make the cover of Dad Bod magazine. But we're also not playing in the National Football League. And we also, there's the whole narrative. Again, he's a young guy, and we'll see how he responds in camp. I mean, you remember when Kendall Wright got here? He was a little soft, right? He had a little cushion to him, and it took him some time to figure out he wanted to be in a little bit tighter shape than that. To this point, Treylon Burks has not had to, because, I mean, what did he do in the SEC? He completely dominated. When he gets to this league, because he hasn't had to do it yet, he hasn't had to play these guys on the other side. And once he finds out, to be great, I need to do X, we'll find out if he's willing to do X. That's what we'll find out. And until then, I won't panic. I mean, I think, if he doesn't, and I know that it's because he did miss much of mini camp and spring workouts, that's why it's a concern. But if he practiced, all the way through, then nobody's saying anything about it. But the fact is that he did have those issues, and so he wasn't. And so it is an issue. And, look, he's going into camp with something to prove. Does it concern him? I don't know. Why did he take the picture down? I'm going to guess somebody told him, you need to take that picture down because the optics are bad. Was I worried about Isaiah Wilson when they picked him? Nope. And that was a total disaster. I was worried about Caleb Farley when they drafted him, and that was justified. And we'll find out. We'll just find out. I am not going to go overboard. I mean, are there tea leaves there? Yeah, there's some tea leaves there. But I'm not going to micro dissect this kid until I can see him on the field and what he can do. Because I haven't.
Corey Curtis, News 2, with us on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. What's your hot take this week?
You know what? I'm going to try to go learning to surf on Monday.
Good luck.
And if you never see me again, you'll know it didn't go well.
Where are you going surfing?
Charleston.
All right. Well, enjoy your vacation, Corey. It's always good to talk to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Later, Jude. Bye.
Yep. Corey Curtis joining us on the program. TD has texted me, by the way, says he's 46.
Okay, well, he looks not a day over 30.
There you go. Boy, I tell you, the Treylon Burks stuff. We'll get into that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll just get to your phones next. 615-737-1025 because it is your day, Fireball Hot Take Friday. This baseball season, FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to turn Ks into cash and big hits into big wins. Right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up using the promo code JGM. Place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. That's right. I love FanDuel Sportsbook. They got great promotions. It's a safe and secure app, and you get paid fast. And right now, the Braves are red hot, and they're just getting better players by the day, and it is so enjoyable to be a Braves fan. And I know every Mets fan in the world, like TD or Willie, they know we're coming. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook. Just use the promo code JGM to sign up to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. 21 and older in President, Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit. It expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840,
players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
At Kubota, we want to help you deliver a job done right. That's why we want you to know that the new Kubota inventory is arriving daily. You have work to do. We have the reliable, durable, and versatile lineup to help you do it. Visit Krebs Kubota today for all your equipment needs. Krebs Kubota. Stop in, click, or call. Visit us online at KrebsKubota.com.
If you've been seriously injured or suffered the ultimate loss of a loved one, don't have your justice decided by an insurance company. You need an attorney who's been tested, proven, and is trusted. You need to let the law offices of Lavelle Glanton use his 31 years experience of obtaining big victories and justice for his clients and families. He will stare down any opponent and not blink until you get the justice and compensation deserved. Time is precious. Don't wait to call 615-244-4511. He will take care of you and fight for you like family.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop into Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, a dab bar at the Hendersonville location, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series at Columbus.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Pregame is at 5:50.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I don't hate it. I think I'm a little nervous about how disruptive it's going to be. But the reason I don't hate it is because, first of all, it was inevitable. The only way to stop this from happening or something like it from happening would be to artificially suppress people's opportunities, both teams, conferences, and individual college football players. And I don't want to do that. So it's going to be hugely disruptive, but I don't hate it. I am very excited about some of the potential possibilities that could pop up that didn't exist before that will now, to kind of replace some of the things that a lot of people hate are going to be gone. But I don't hate it, but at the same time, I feel like I'm dancing through barbed wire barefoot, and you got to be real careful because things are going to be awfully crazy for a while.
There you go. That was Trevor Maddich on conference realignment. Let me just say, everyone just keeps acting like that the ACC schools can get out of this grant of rights. And I'm told you could try. I'm told you could try, but good luck.
Well, and you say it's incredibly risky to try and get out of the grant of rights, which I'm no legal expert and I'm no expert on deals like that, and I can only assume that it is very risky, but you could also look at it the other side and say, how risky is it for the ACC to not break up and join these super conferences? Because that could also be very risky for the future of those ACC schools.
The way the TV deal can get redone is if they add members. And the ACC probably will add members. Most notably, they're going to try Notre Dame. But, I mean, they're going to try to add teams, I would assume. And then they can renegotiate their contract with ESPN. But the two things that the ACC doesn't have going for them is, one, the deal is so long that it's not like Texas, Oklahoma that, we'll just wait out a couple years and then we'll go.
Right.
And it's not like the Big Ten, who's renegotiating their rights right now, or the Pac-12, whose rights are wide open. Whereas if the ACC had their rights coming up, maybe some of those schools would be getting poached right now, but I think they'd be doing some poaching. And then I think they'd turn and go to CBS and say, hey, you just lost the SEC. What would you pay for the ACC? And then you get a bidding war between CBS and ABC, ESPN, and that can make a big difference. But I'm just told, this idea that Virginia, who would be desired, that Virginia or Carolina or somebody else could just walk out and say, hey, we're out. We're going to check. I'm told it's not that easy. What do we have in the text line?
Craig texts into the text line and says, I am a diehard Notre Dame fan, and I love the tradition of being independent. But if you're going to be serious about winning a championship, you need to join the Big Ten and get the added conference championship game opportunity.
Why? I mean, how many teams from the Big Ten have made the playoff in the playoff era?
How many teams? 2.
I think 3.
Ohio State, Michigan, and...
Michigan State made it in 2015.
Okay, so
3.
3
teams. Has Penn State made it? I don't think so. I think they've come close a couple times. So 3 teams in the Big Ten have made it. Ohio State's made it too. So are you telling me that Iowa has a better chance to make it to the playoff because they get to play in the Big Ten championship game, or Wisconsin, who has played in the Big Ten championship game like 17 times over the last 17 years?
And it's not like Notre Dame has missed out on the college football playoff year after year because they don't have that conference championship.
That's my point.
They've been how many times? 2 or 3?
I think they've been twice.
Twice.
Now, once they were in the ACC.
That's right, in 2020.
Remember 2020? The
That's
other time, I believe, was 2017, 2018, and they made it. And they wouldn't have made it if they had lost to Vanderbilt, and they should have lost to Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt totally Vanderbilted the game, which I always find fascinating about the college football playoff is, like, Alabama may lose a game, but for the most part, Alabama makes it because Alabama earns it in there. Every year there's a team that it's like, if that field goal kicker on that horrendously crap team didn't miss a 27-yarder, like if, let's say...
That giant would have been killed earlier that season.
Yeah, let's say, whoever makes it as a 4th team or whatever, and it's like, yeah, if they didn't lose that game to Tulane, like if the Tulane kicker had made a 23-yard kick, then they would have been knocked out.
It didn't Tulane, what was it, Oklahoma at the beginning of last season?
Yeah.
It came down to the wire, and Tulane was leading that game for a good bit of it. And I know Oklahoma didn't make the college football playoff,
Yeah, didn't
but
Oklahoma
still.
have kind of a crap season?
Well, I always think of it as so much more crappy in my head, but I'm pretty sure they ended the season 11-2, which is not a crap season.
So, by the way, here are the teams that have over the last. Andy Staples did this at the Athletic, which if you take Notre Dame, the SEC, and the Big Ten out, these are the games that have had the most 1 million viewer games.
Okay.
Clemson's at 34.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of how long this has been. You subtract, you're the ones that are most million. I don't know how long it is.
The college football playoff era, probably.
Clemson 34, Florida State 31, Washington 28, Oregon 26, Miami 22. Here's a curveball. Washington State 21.
That is a curveball.
Oklahoma State, Utah 19, Louisville, Stanford 18, North Carolina 16. We sure we want Virginia?
Well, it's not about the team, it's about the market.
But is that the case now? Because it used to be about getting your cable network picked up in certain cities or certain big cities because they just want to be on tier 1. That's it. Like you cannot, we'll use the SEC as an example. You cannot survive in Georgia if you don't have the SEC network, if Georgia's going to play a football game on it.
Right.
And the SEC would have weaponized that network if, for instance, Comcast, who I think is the number 1 cable provider in the Southeast for Georgia, if they did not put Georgia on TV, if they did not have the SEC network and the tier 1 cable package, then you would have seen Georgia Tech, or you would have seen Georgia Clemson, or you would have seen one of those games on the SEC network as kind of you have to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so for certain networks, so the ACC network, which I don't think is tier 1 on a lot of cable channels, that's a big deal.
But I remember whenever the ACC network was launched, it was the year after Clemson won the national championship. And Clemson's first game, I forgot who they played, but it was a big game. Georgia Tech. Clemson, Georgia Tech. That first game was on the ACC network. And it wasn't in your classic cable package. You had to elect into it.
I think some of
that was a strategic move.
And I think some of it, though, was also when you're opening the network. Like the SEC.
Yeah, you want a big game.
The SEC has horrible games on the SEC network.
But they can have horrible
games. The first
games.
game they had was a top 10 South Carolina Texas.
Well, yeah, it's a business move because you want people
to
buy it.
The first game, you want people to be, tuned in. But the whole point being, I believe the SEC network is already tier 1 in Virginia anyways. So what would be the point if nobody's watching it? If you're going for, the mega rating games, you really want Virginia? But those are the questions. What else we got in the text line?
Another texter texts in and says, how long after all of this happens will the SEC expand to the West and no longer be called the SEC?
So I think it'll still be called the SEC, but Rick Neuheisel said he thinks the SEC is going out west. And if the SEC goes out west, I think the SEC probably takes a Texas team. Well, they already have Texas. They don't need a Texas team. I think if the SEC goes out west, I think the SEC grabs like Cal. I think Stanford has more of those million-plus viewer games, but Cal is one of the state universities.
Oregon?
Now, Oregon's going to the Big Ten. Oregon and Washington are going to the Big Ten. Now, does Washington State have to go? I don't know. I don't see the SEC wanting Washington State.
No. I think if the SEC wants anyone in the Pac-12, it's Oregon, and then insert San Francisco school here.
I think the SEC truly wants to. I was surprised that Colorado wants to go back to the Big 12, because I could see the SEC going and getting Colorado. You're getting Denver's market, probably puts that as a tier 1. Colorado's football is not awful. I always figured that Colorado would certainly be in play because of that Denver market, but who knows? 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Back into your phones, plus your Preds phones. We'll get to them as well. 615-737-1025, because it's your day, Fireball Hot Take Friday on Stillman & Company.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. A high of 97 today, heat index as high as 115, and a few isolated storms, better storm chances on Saturday.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Hey, Willie Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month, and inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it that you can access with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off those 23% rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut $800 or more from their monthly budget. If your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto now and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Erectile dysfunction ruins sex, but it's more than that. It harms otherwise good relationships. It destroys marriages. It can cause depression and anxiety, and it can be extremely hard on a man's self-esteem. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with ED, if it's affecting you, I want you to know that if you're like most men, we can treat it and get you back to the man you used to be. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're ED experts. Our protocols have success rates as high as 90%. We've successfully treated thousands of men in the Music City, and we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations that could have you performing like you haven't in years. You could even last up to an hour and experience great sex again that is satisfying for both you and your partner. In treating your health, expertise matters, so make an appointment today. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year.
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman & Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Fireball Hot Take Friday. Hey, the Sounds hit the road. They take on the Columbus Clippers, the AAA affiliate of the Guardians. Catch all the action tonight on 94.9 The Fan at 6:05. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Phones on a Fireball Hot Take Friday are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Adam in Portland's up next on Conference Expansion. Go ahead, Adam.
Man, I personally, I like the realignments. Like, I don't know what fan of college football just would not like to see better competition, different competition.
Is it better competition?
Do what?
Is it better competition? For instance, the last
so.
round of expansion included Rutgers. By the way, UCLA hasn't been good for 30 years.
Well, I understand that. Well, these teams coming out west, I could care less about. But you just talking about the SEC and kind of scratching an old wound in question that I had was like, if Texas is coming here and Oklahoma's coming here, that has to be why Lincoln Riley left, right? Did he ever actually give a reason for that? Because he was about to get exposed in the SEC. This is the best competition in college football, and I'm excited to see Texas and Oklahoma, and then he leaves. So it just kind of sucked. I didn't like how he did it.
So, I mean, Lincoln Riley, appreciate your call. It's not like USC has easy competition now in the Big Ten.
Well, and also, I mean, the competition in the SEC is more difficult in the Pac-12, which is where he originally signed up for. But I hear that narrative thrown out there a lot. Maybe there's a little bit of truth to it, but I think it was more so USC was throwing him millions and millions and millions of dollars. And USC historically is a better college football brand than Oklahoma is.
It's not.
USC?
No.
I would say, yeah.
No. I mean,
not that Oklahoma is any sort of Scarbini program. It absolutely is one of the top programs in the country.
I would check like the national championships. I mean, Oklahoma has been, really good for forever.
Well, in terms of the program and also the market and the revenue,
what I believe is this is what I think. I think Lincoln Riley, people forget about this. Lincoln Riley was the offensive coordinator at ECU like 7 years ago. So he's the coordinator at ECU. Ruffin McNeil is the head coach. They put up a bunch of points, and all of a sudden Lincoln Riley's in the mix for the Kentucky job, for the Kentucky offensive coordinator position. And people thought he was going to Kentucky to be the offensive coordinator when Neil Brown went to Troy, who's now at West Virginia. They thought that Lincoln Riley was going to come in from ECU and be the offensive coordinator at Kentucky. Instead, Mark Stoops didn't get him, but Bob Stoops hired him at Oklahoma. Then Bob Stoops just quit, and they elevated Lincoln Riley, and they had success, and now all of a sudden he went in the span of like 3 years from being the hottest offensive coordinator at the lower level to the head coach of Oklahoma. I'm not sure there's like a true blue tie there, like Shane or Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech, where it's like, this is my home. I'm a lifer here. I'm a this, that. I just think that the idea of being the man in Los Angeles is a lot more appealing than being the man in Norman, Oklahoma. And that's what I think Lincoln Riley decided he wanted to do. Plus, I think, if you take Bob Stoops' good program and you keep it good, then congratulations. But if you take a bad program that is traditionally good and you make them good again, then you're like Nick Saban. And so that's ultimately what I think that came down. I mean, there were people that said when it happened that he was running away from the SEC, and I didn't buy it.
I don't know if I fully buy into that narrative.
How many national championships does Oklahoma have?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, I think Oklahoma might have more national championships than USC.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that, but I'm not saying that, Oklahoma has more championships, so Lincoln Riley wants to stay there. I'm just saying as a brand, as the market, the history. I mean, Oklahoma's a great program, but
I think if you were to
USC is a higher grossing football team than Oklahoma is.
If you were to rank is that true?
Yeah.
We sure?
I mean, I can look it up, but
they don't draw. Like when it comes to fans, the Los Angeles schools, they don't draw very well. USC draws better than UCLA. But did you see the article in the LA Times about how much debt UCLA was in? And that's why they had to make the move to the Big Ten?
A lot. Okay, so here's the first article that pops up is Heartland College Sports. So I don't know. But this is from 2021.
Like, I would ask you this question. Is Georgia a better college football program than USC?
Yeah.
So that's in large part because...
But also in this list, it says that USC On average, brings in a revenue of $93 million a year. Oklahoma is not on this list of the top 25.
Really?
Georgia is 7 at $125 million. Texas is at the top with $147 million.
$147 million, and they got to go to a different conference to get more money. Unbelievable. What's next?
Another texter checks in and says, I understand the ACC wanting to expand, but if you're a school looking to move, why would you want to join the ACC and be tied to the rights until 2036?
So that's the thing, is if they were to add teams and they renegotiate the rights. That's the deal. That is why, the way out of the grant of rights is actually the way in. It is add 2 more teams, then you can renegotiate that contract, but you have to stay in that conference and, maybe you make it less. So you end the deal in 2030 instead of 2036. But that is the way out, is to add teams and then tell ESPN you want more money. That's the deal. Not, we're stuck here until 2036. We're all making $50 million a year. Come join us. And then, our $50 million a year goes to $45 million a year. Nobody would do that. But I do think that for the ACC, if they could get their channel on in other places, that would make a much bigger difference than it would probably for the SEC. What's next?
Claimed national titles at Oklahoma, 7. Claimed national titles at USC, 11.
How many of USC have been taken away?
Unclaimed, 6.
I mean, I know that the 2 that SC lost because of Reggie Bush, which was total bullcrap, but I don't even get me started on that.
And then you go back into like the early 1900s where there were like 3 national champions.
Like 1951, both Kentucky and Tennessee claimed the national championship, and I'm not sure that either actually won it. 615-737-1025. All right, somebody's got to say it. Traylon Burks, it does not look good. And I don't understand why everybody has to give Traylon Burks the benefit of the doubt. We'll get to that next. Fireball Hot Take Friday at Stillman & Company on 102.5 The Game.
You watch the game.
And he's going. Nobody's going to catch him. Derrick Henry, touchdown.
We talk the game.
I don't think it was a bad play, but he took out their goalie.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hiller's Home of the Free is back with more free giveaways than ever. This month, get a free programmable thermostat with select new HVAC systems. Get a free home surge protector with a whole home generator. Or enjoy a free water sensor leak detector with any tankless water heater. Better yet, we'll include interest-free financing and a free Happy Hiller Club membership with these purchases. Celebrate the Home of the Free with us at happyhiller.com.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you suffer from joint pain, from arthritis, or an injury, you know the traditional treatments: pain meds, steroids, and then surgery, right? Willie Donick here with great news. Now there's a better way, and it's here now from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. This is an advanced, exciting, and natural alternative that can give you lasting relief using your body's own healing power. Listen, steroid shots are toxic to your joints. Pain meds can be addictive, and nobody wants to go under the knife. It's 2022, and those old ways are out. The new way is in. Regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing damaged joint tissue using natural biologics. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. QC Kinetics and their protocols can address any pain in any joint and give you the quality of life you deserve. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
For the love of Tennessee at dawn. For the love of the fight. For the love of having nowhere else you'd rather be. For the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
We here at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
O'Reilly.
Stay cool this summer with AC Pro and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro ready-to-use refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. Beat the heat before you hit the road with AC Pro at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road to DDC,
Stillman and Company, Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome game 7.
Checker flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stone & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 102.5. The Game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Fireball Hot Take Friday. So we've kind of touched on this a little bit throughout the week, but we haven't really touched on it enough, like to the level that I want to on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Treylon Burks is out of shape, and he's not looking good. And I want to start with this. I want to start it with this standpoint, from this standpoint. Why does everybody always tell me not to be worried? Why does every person who covers the Titans say, don't worry about Treylon Burks?
Well, it's not just Treylon Burks. I feel like a lot of people tell you to not worry because you tend to worry about things that aren't worth worrying about. So whenever you say that you're worried about things that really are worth worrying about, it's almost like the boy who cried wolf.
The boy who cried worried about the wide receiver being
The boy
fat?
who cried fat.
So here's the thing. Treylon Burks, and I was thinking about this today. And again, it's a Fireball Hot Take Friday. I love Fireball Hot Take Friday. Treylon Burks did not make it through the first rookie mini camp practice that he participated in. We then said after the rookie mini camp, this is concerning. They drafted this guy in the first round, and Treylon Burks could not make it through the first rookie mini camp practice. Trevor Maddich came on the show and said he was disgusted that Treylon Burks couldn't make it through the first rookie mini camp practice. And boy, did we catch a lot of heat for that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's one practice. It's May or April or whenever the hell it was. It's not a big deal. It'll be fine. Then Treylon Burks keeps not practicing, practices a little bit, not practicing on the bike, has asthma. Then is he in shape? Is he out of shape? Reports say he's out of shape. I just want to go through this period since he left Arkansas. But I want to start with the fact that he's posting pictures on Instagram and then deleting. One was him on the boat with a bag of Doritos. Another was him yesterday, him and another guy. The other guy, I think he's a baseball pitcher because he clearly has
He had like an arm thing,
arm.
yeah.
And he's got like a freaking six-pack. And then Treylon Burks, as Derek Mason said, looks like he goes to the gym on a regular basis, but just like a regular guy who goes to the gym, not an NFL player.
Works out but likes pasta.
And so Treylon Burks, here's what we know about Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks could not make it through rookie minicamp. He did not participate in mandatory minicamp. He has asthma, which is worse when you are out of shape. His coaches at Arkansas said that the big key to unlocking his game would be getting him in shape. And Albert Breer reported that he couldn't make it through all the workouts, and he checked in heavier at private workouts, weighing heavier than the 225 he weighed at the combine, and he ran a 4.55 at the combine, which dropped him in the draft, and all of these things. And I'm told don't worry about it. Corey Curtis today on the program was talking about, I'm not really there yet. I saw the picture. I see what you're saying. I am concerned. He does have to show something, but we'll see. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Why does he get the benefit of the doubt? Treylon Burks' body does not look like it's ready to play NFL football. Now, maybe he had that body at Arkansas. That body that he had at Arkansas was good enough to dominate the SEC. But dominating the SEC is not the same as dominating the NFL. There's a plenty of guys in the history of football that have dominated the SEC that did not dominate the NFL. Just go ask Tim Tebow. So I mean, I am now sitting here. I'm almost angry because I feel like Titans media, and I'm not saying any one individual said anything, but I'm just saying the overall assumption, Titans media is more okay with Burks and saying, hey, gotta wait till camp to be worried about it. And I'm thinking to myself, why? The guy has not done anything good since you drafted him. Everything that he has done has been that's not good. And then we were told, hey, it'll be fine. There's 5 weeks, even though he was on the bike and not practicing in the minicamp. It's 5 weeks. He's got 5 weeks. He'll be fine. And Vrabel said it's very critical 5 weeks for him. And there he is eating Doritos. There he is out on the boat. There he is. His last story yesterday, he's hanging out on the beach. And people are going to say, Jared, you shouldn't tell Treylon Burks he shouldn't be allowed to take vacation. Why? Why should we not be allowed to criticize Treylon Burks for what he's doing outside of football when what he's doing outside of football is probably hurting him inside of football?
And, if he wants to take a vacation, if he wants to take a day off for the 4th of July, okay. But we have said from rookie minicamp, if he's not ready for camp, that's a problem. Well, we are now 2 weeks away from camp, and it doesn't look like he's going to be ready for camp.
This is not a diet book that says everything in moderation, or, every now and then you have to tempt your cravings, or every now and then you have to. This is not one of those. This is the NFL. This is, hey, buddy, if you can, for 8 years, really 5 or 4, if for 4 years you can focus, somebody's going to give you $100 million.
Well, I'm not going to tell him that he has to be in the gym every single hour of every single day. I understand that this is the NFL.
He's going to need to be in the gym more than he's in the gym now.
I don't know how much he's in the gym. We just see when he's not in the gym.
What did Derek say about him?
He looks like a guy that works out but doesn't play in professional football. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Derek said he looks like he's a guy who works out like a regular guy at the gym but doesn't push himself very hard.
And I don't disagree. I do not disagree.
And that should be unacceptable.
I don't know how acceptable it is or not within those walls.
Everything should be unacceptable. The not getting through rookie minicamp should be unacceptable. And we should not feel bad about that. Everybody else.
What are they going to do about it?
Oh, see, that's the problem is they've hitched their wagons to him. So either it's
and
this.
That's the problem is he was drafted in the first round.
But I'm not saying what
so
he
you're
should
saying
do.
It's unacceptable. What are we going to do about it?
I'm not saying what he should do about it or what the Titans should do about it. That's their own thing. But I'm saying that we should sit here and talk about the wide receiver being too fat. And we shouldn't be afraid to say that the wide receiver's too fat. Because right now the problem is that the wide receiver is too fat.
And to be fair, I don't think it's too much to ask for your first-round pick to get in shape.
To get through rookie minicamp.
I understand that
mandatory minicamp.
He played with the thickness at Arkansas, that he was thick and was able to put it on whatever defender was on him. I understand that. He balled out on that Arkansas team that absolutely exceeded expectations last year. I understand that. But to your point, there's new expectations now. So can he play at this weight? Can he ball out for the Titans even more so than he did at Arkansas at that weight? Maybe he can. But everything I've seen from him so far shows me that he cannot.
And I feel like everybody is telling us that we have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
But I don't think it's too much to ask for the Titans' first-round pick to get in shape. I don't think that's too much to ask.
It's obviously not that much of a priority.
And I'm also not going to tell him that he can't take a day on a boat with his friends for the 4th of July.
Oh, I am going to tell him.
I know you will.
And see, that's the problem. Because what happens is everybody, and this I think is like a society thing more than it is just a talk radio thing, but everybody looks at, I don't want to say everybody's soft because that is a blanket statement. But I think it's this sense of, how dare you tell Treylon Burks what to do? Treylon Burks is a grown man, and Treylon Burks can make his own decisions, and Treylon Burks can do what's in the best interest of him. And if he wants to eat a fruit pie and sit there and knock down pizza, then he can do those things. And I'm sitting here telling you, I
don't think anyone's saying that.
Well, if Treylon Burks wants to eat his Doritos, Treylon Burks can eat his Doritos. And I'm telling you, no more Doritos. That's what I'm saying. And we shouldn't be afraid to say it. People buy tickets to watch this team. They want this team to win. They're invested in this team emotionally. He's replacing A.J. Brown. And last time I checked, I don't think he's replacing A.J. Brown for free, right? But he's getting paid.
Yes.
Okay. So this is his job.
Yes.
So go get in shape. And I just think it's crazy that everybody's giving him such a pass. Not one good thing has happened since they've acquired him. Not one good thing has happened since he left Arkansas. He had a bad combine. He reportedly had bad pro days. He got here and couldn't get through rookie minicamp. He became the last first-round receiver in the draft. He didn't participate at all in mandatory minicamp. His body looks like a regular person's body. He's eating Doritos on the boat, and now he's on the beach on vacation. Great.
Yeah, the posting of the pictures is stupid.
And it there should be some accountability here. And I am amazed that during the week, this has not come up. Like, Treylon Burks, the Titans have hitched their wagon to him. This is a monumental pick for John Robinson. This is a big one for Robinson.
Oh,
if he blows this one, like,
if this is the third, and I'm not going to use the B word, but if this is the third bad pick in the last 3 years, I think a lot of people are looking at John Robinson like, what the heck, man?
I mean, take Simmons out of it.
You got to hit on these first-round picks.
Take Simmons out of it. They have all, take Simmons and Conklin, they have all underperformed. Davis, not one 1,000-yard season as the 5th overall pick. Rashawn Evans, last year, I believe he was inactive for that Bengals playoff game. Maybe he was active. I can't remember, but there was a lot of talk about how Evans was. I mean, he was useless at the end of the year last year. And so this is a big pick for Robinson. And if they can't know that, if they couldn't tell, because, I mean, don't they all these guys get poked and prodded at the combine? Like, don't they do the body fat tests and don't they do all that at the combine? And so TD was talking yesterday about how A.J. Brown had to lose some weight when A.J. Brown got drafted. But A.J. Brown looked like the Incredible Hulk. That's why A.J. Brown had to lose some weight. Not because he looked like a weekend warrior. And that's a problem. So I've just decided that I don't want to sit here. I don't want to give somebody who hasn't accomplished anything in the NFL and hasn't even made it through a meaningful practice, I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think you should either, talking about the fans. And yet I guarantee you somebody's going to get mad at us for what I'm saying right now. Somebody will get mad. Somebody will be like, how dare you? Or somebody will text in and say, you're fat, Jared. And guess what? I don't play in the NFL. Like, there's a difference. If my voice could not make it through and I was going out and knocking down fireball shots on the weekend, though I do love fireball, but my voice is fine, and I was sitting there not taking care of it, you would say, wow, that's dumb. Like a guy who talks for 4 hours a day, has a syndicated national radio weekend show, and he's out there just running his voice into the ground. That's dumb. And yet you say this about Burks, and it's like, how dare you? Like, I'm afraid I'm going to end up on Dr. Phil, and they're going to be like, now, how did you feel about body shaming a 22-year-old wide receiver?
But also, he's 22.
Yeah. He's not playing football for free.
And I understand that everyone has a different body type, so on and so forth, but you're 22, dude. It's not that difficult to get yourself in shape when your body is literally like an elastic rubber band that can just pop back into shape whenever you want it to.
I've always thought this about, like, the fat guys that are good at sports. Like Babe Ruth.
Okay.
You know, all Babe Ruth ever did, supposedly, according to the Ken Burns documentary, was drink beer and eat hot dogs.
Uh-huh.
And he was awesome. Now, he was skinny when he was like 19, and he was a pitcher, and he was awesome. But we all know Babe was kind of fat.
Well, years of, beer and hot dogs will do that
We'll do that to you. What if Babe Ruth didn't didn't drink the beer and hot dogs? He probably would have lived past 55 or whatever it was. But, I mean, how good could Babe Ruth have been? Like, when you've got the guys that cannot keep himself in check.
He's Babe freaking Ruth.
When they cannot. There was a player at LSU when I was in high school basketball, Glenn Big Baby Davis. And Glenn Big Baby Davis was unbelievable. And if he had ever gotten in great shape, he probably could have been a great NBA player. Instead, he was a role player. He sat on the bench for a little bit, didn't really do much. A great NBA player, a great college player that was really fat and got himself into unbelievable shape, Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley won a league MVP. He's in the Hall of Fame. He was on the Dream Team. We all know Chuck. How good could Treylon Burks be if he got himself in shape? So I want to start on that. I'm not going to feel bad for looking at Treylon Burks' Instagram and saying, what is this guy doing? And being concerned about it. And we should be concerned about it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. How concerned do we think the Titans are? And on the other side, I want to get to this, which is, do you think he'll be able to make it through practices in camp? Because everybody's telling me, well, let's wait, let's see. But do you think that? 615-737-1025, Fireball Hot Take Friday, Stillman and Company. It's 1025 The Game.
Join Chase McCabe for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 for all the news in the world of motorsports.
Joey Logano gets the very first victory in the next-gen car
while hearing from the big names.
Two-time champion Kyle Busch.
Being able to bring NASCAR, the Cup Series, back to Nashville is cool.
It's Chasing Checkers, presented by Apple Collision Centers and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway
on ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Saving money feels pretty good. Allstate. Better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Save big this 4th of July at Electronic Express. Get an LG 55-inch 4K TV for $399 or a Samsung black stainless washer dryer for $549 each. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Xbox S bundle for just $389 or an Acer laptop for $229. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make celebrations happen.
Summer heat is here. How is your air conditioner holding up? Costs are rising everywhere. Grocery bills, gas bills, utility bills, you name it, up, up, up. Is your AC old, inefficient, costing more than it should? Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Qualified buyers have up to 72 months. No interest for a new York air conditioner and 6 months no interest for repairs. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. All new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York certified comfort expert company. Schedule now at springhillac.com.
Hey, Willie Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month, and inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home's value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it, and you can access it with Loan Pronto. They specialize in zero-cost cash-out home refis. Get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. And yes, VA loans are eligible. With a VA loan, you can access up to 100% of your home's value. So pay off high-rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut about $800 or more from their monthly budget. So if your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
We here at 1025 and 1063 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On ESPN 1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
What did you think when you saw it? What are your thoughts on Burks' body and the shape that he should be in or will be in come training camp?
Yeah, well, I actually had the same thoughts as Caroline as far as just the tone deafness. I think optically it's not exactly a good look, but at the same time, remember, a lot of these guys, they don't care what the outside world thinks. And I think that's something to take into account. But at the same time, this is something that's being said about you. So naturally you should want to fight everything that's being said. There was actually a story today that he had up where he was standing on the boat and you could kind of see his full torso. I'll say this: I'm 46 years old, and my body is very similar to that. Now, take that for what you want, but as a rookie coming into the league, especially at the receiver position, you kind of expect a different appearance.
That was TD yesterday, and I feel like that's pretty sharp for TD.
And I was kind of surprised when TD reacted that way because I expected him to say, Jared, you're overreacting. He's doing the work that he needs to do. So whenever TD was at least showed a little bit of concern, I think that showed me that it was okay. This is real.
I mean, I will say this about Burks. There has been nothing good that has happened since his final game at Arkansas. Nothing good, like, in his direction. And the Titans are counting on him heavily. I am now starting to believe that the reason he didn't practice at the minicamp is because the Titans were basically saying you have to get in certain amount of shape or you have to weigh X amount in order to practice. It does remind me, listening to TD talk about how NFL guys don't care what the outside world thinks. A buddy of mine's an internist, so that's like a doctor who handles like diabetic patients.
Yeah.
And he told me that one time he flipped on, I think it might have been like Dr. Oz's TV show. I don't know, before Dr. Oz decided he wanted to be like Mr. Rural Pennsylvanian. Dr. Oz, I think, had like a bunch of big women or something on the show. I think it was one of those shows. And they had these like big, beautiful women. And this photographer, I guess, was taking pictures of these plus-size women. Mm-hmm. And it was like, look at how big and beautiful this woman is. Like, that was the TV show, right? Mm-hmm. And my buddy, who's an internist, is like, look, I don't want anybody to feel bad. And I think a lot of people deal with a lot of mental health issues from their body concepts or whatever.
Yeah.
But we need to feel like these are big, beautiful women and be proud of it. He's like, look, man, hypertension, diabetes, blood pressure, like they don't care about that. I'll tell you right now, hypertension does not care about how your feelings feel about what people. And
well, I don't think that Treylon Burks is obese to the point that he is going to have hypertension or diabetes or heart problems.
No. But what I'm saying is, like the Las Vegas Raiders, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I'm proud of my body. It doesn't matter, man. If you can't get through practice, I don't care. Now, look, if you go out there and you're Jerry Rice and you got a little bit of a beer belly being Jerry Rice, fine. Go do it. I do not care. I do not care. You want to go out like these guys. You think I'm numb to think that these NFL players don't go out and drink alcohol or smoke pot or smoke cigars? I don't care. Do it. I don't think you have to be like Tom Brady and go outside and eat the grass in your backyard, but you got to be able to make it through a practice.
And that's my thing is if Treylon Burks could be that size and in that shape and just be,
Jerry
a
Rice.
burner in practice and killing it, and I would say, okay, he might be a more thick wide receiver than other wide receivers in the league, but hey, it's fine. He's working with it. But he's not, and that's the thing. I don't care if you weigh 220 pounds, 270 pounds, or whatever it might be. You got to do your job, man. You got to do your job, and the Titans are counting on you to do it.
And no player is good enough in pro sports, like the running sports. Baseball's different.
Yeah.
Golf, no player is good enough in pro sports to be able to be. And then Treylon Burks is not obese, but no player is good enough to be at that level of unstoppable if they're not in shape. That was the thing that held Shaquille O'Neal back. What first thing Phil Jackson ever said to Shaquille O'Neal? So Shaq was so excited to get Phil Jackson as the coach to the Lakers, and he went to Phil's house in Montana, and Phil said, how much you weigh right now? Shaq said, I don't know. Phil goes, I need you to lose 15 pounds. Right then and there. And Shaq, for that offseason, was like so dedicated and was unstoppable that he would have been unanimously the MVP of the NBA if one guy, Fred Hickman, didn't vote for Allen Iverson. Shaq would have been unbelievable. This is the question that I do think there's a right or wrong answer to. That it's an opinion question, but I think there's a right opinion and a wrong opinion. Do you feel comfortable that Burks will be ready for training camp?
I have no reason to feel comfortable that he'll be ready for training camp.
That's it. Yes.
I can hope that he is, and I do hope that he is. Deep down in my core, in my heart,
too.
in my soul, I hope that he goes out there and proves me so wrong, but he has given me no reason to believe that he can go out there in training camp and be what the Titans need him to do.
Yes. That is the only right answer.
Well, you can't keep saying that people have wrong opinions because those are their opinions.
If you had the opinion of is tall or not tall or whatever.
That is not an opinion because tall is tall and short is short. No, quit deliberating on this. If that is the truth.
I don't know.
I am short.
I don't
Pecorine is tall.
Right.
That is just a fact. If somebody came up to me and said, "Wow, you're tall," I'd say, "No, I'm not."
Right. So how is that different from this? There's no evidence that Treylon Burks will be ready for training camp.
Correct.
So then...
At least the evidence that I have.
So just like there's no evidence that you are tall.
Okay, that is so different. No, because I have a numerical attached to how tall I am, and that is not tall. And that, based off of the evidence that I have no reason to believe that he will be ready for training camp. Now, somebody may be more optimistic
there is a numerical value for that.
What is the numerical value?
Prior practices completed. 0.
Well, if somebody has a little bit more optimism or has a little bit more evidence and says, no, I feel like he will be ready for training camp, I'll say, I disagree, but not you're wrong.
So I had a math teacher one time that said, some teachers will say there's no dumb questions. He goes, there are dumb questions. And his name was Mr. Davis, and he was African-American. And he goes, if you raise your hand and you say, Mr. Davis, are you black? That's a dumb question. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. Like, there are some times where there are, everybody's entitled to opinion, but there are, like, dumb opinions.
Okay, questions and opinions are two different things.
Right, but I'm telling you,
there are dumb opinions. I see dumb opinions on Twitter every day.
And to think that Treylon Burks would be ready for training camp is an unfounded opinion.
Well, it doesn't make it a wrong opinion. You just disagree with it.
I think it's a wrong opinion.
You just disagree with it.
Because there's nothing that tells you it's a right opinion. If you were to argue...
If somebody has more optimism, then they might say, well, yeah, of course.
If you were more... let's say you were on the other side of this.
Okay.
Let's say you were confident, that Burks would be rocking and rolling.
I already bought my Burks jersey, baby.
Day one of practice, he's going to be on the first team, and he's going to be in shape, and he's not going to be pulling out, and there's going to be no inhalers and no Allegra and no nothing.
Where did the Allegra come from?
What would you argue? Like, what would your point of contention to argue be?
I don't know, because I don't have that opinion, and it's really hard for me to dig that deep because I just don't.
Because there's nothing there. There's no evidence.
Opinions don't have to be based in evidence. Opinions.
So people can think that O.J. Simpson's innocent.
Yeah, because in a court of law, he was.
It's like the people that think that
there was a jury that thought he was innocent.
I think that it is more likely that Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was staged, which I don't believe. I think you're nuts if you think it was staged. I think there is more evidence that was staged than there is evidence that Burks will be ready for training camp.
Well, one could say, well, the Oscars ratings have tanked the past couple of years, and nobody gets people watching and talking more than controversy.
I flipped right to the Oscars after that.
I did too.
I could not have given two
I
poops,
did too,
and
I flipped off it earlier.
Single one of those movies.
And the Oscars is my favorite awards show of award season, and I flipped off of it. And as soon as I saw the T on Twitter, I said, "Oh!"
To your phone, 615-737-1025. That's our phone number on the Burks and the Beach Boat Doritos. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Dre is going to kick us off this hour. Thank you for calling. What's up, Dre?
Hey, Jared. Man, did you see that picture going around a while back of AJ and DK Metcalf?
Yes.
After they got done working out before.
I mean, it looked like Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa standing next to each other. Yes.
Yes, man. What a shame. What a shame when you compare it to the picture that Treylon Burks just put out.
I mean, I thank you for the call, Dre. That is.
I also don't want to go there because, okay, yeah, AJ compared to DK Metcalf, yeah, they both look like a couple of incredible Hulks. But let's not use that as reason why trading A.J. Brown and drafting Treylon Burks was a bad decision, just based off of photos of their bodies.
I mean, if you had the guy who was incredibly in shape and cut, and you traded him for the...
In shape? No. Don't you dare say A.J. Brown was in shape.
You didn't cover the team when this happened. A.J. Brown got hurt at training camp and barely made it through the end, and then just showed up for the first game and had 100 yards in the first game against Cleveland.
But he was consistently, even in the year that I was here, consistently on and off the field because he was injured.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with him being fat or out of shape.
Well, you could also argue that out of shape means that you're injured.
No, injured is injured.
Okay, he was injured. So let's not say that A.J. Brown is some, invincible robot when that wasn't necessarily the case.
I didn't say that.
You were saying it. It's a shame.
No, you went from the guy who was cut. I mean, you went from the guy who was freaking cut, a.k.a. dedicated. You went from that to Doritos. Then again,
that's an incredibly shallow way of looking at it because there's so many
football.
There are so many more factors with A.J. Brown that made him a problem.
It's football. It's like the idea of people sitting there saying, Ryan Tannehill feels so bad about that Bengals loss and Ryan Tannehill. And I'm like, look, man, I guarantee you it hurt. I'm
sure it did.
With how bad it hurt blowing that playoff game. Guess what? It should. It's football.
But, A.J. Brown, okay, injured and expensive, complains all the time. But, man, we miss those muscles. That's silly.
No, but one guy was productive and the other guy we're not sure can get through a practice. That's the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem. 615-737-1025. We're back to your phones with this next. Plus, if you think we're bad talking about this, you got to hear what these guys in Boston. Caroline's actually the one that found it, which is fantastic, too. You got to hear what they say about Mac Jones because, my goodness gracious, we'll get into that as well. Right here on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Hey, we are your racing station. That's right. 102.5 The Game is your home for NASCAR, and 106.3 The Game. We are your racing station. And be sure to listen this Sunday at 1 o'clock for the Quaker State 400. Also join Chase McCabe every Sunday morning at 8 for Chasing Checkers as he talks to the drivers and gets you set for the race weekend. NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game is presented by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's watching the top players take the ice. It's hard-fought games that end in victory. It's showing your favorite team to your favorite people. Secure your seats for the 2022-23 Nashville Predators season today to ensure you never miss a game at Bridgestone Arena. Plus, enjoy Nashville locker room discounts, exclusive presale offers, and more. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. Join the Loyal Legion today and paint the town Preds. That's NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
Hose and Belting Specialties in Murfreesboro is your local source for hydraulic, air, water, and chemical hoses, along with conveyor, timing, and metric belt needs. They stock metric fittings for both air and hydraulic applications. Hose and Belting Specialties stocks Parker hydraulic hoses and fittings, Goodyear ContiTech industrial hoses, and V-belts, just to name a few of their lines. For any of your industrial needs, call 615-895-HOSE. 615-895-HOSE.
Hey, it's Jared for my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. This baseball season, turn K's into cash and big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook because new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up with the promo code JGM and place your first bet risk-free, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. Right now, the Yankees and the Braves are red hot, so I would say put your money on them because they are winning. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code JGM to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. $1,000. The app is safe and secure. You get paid fast, and they've got great promotions every day. 21 and older in present Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
If you suffer from joint pain, from arthritis, or an injury, you know the traditional treatments: pain meds, steroids, and then surgery, right? Willie Donick here with great news. Now there's a better way, and it's here now from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. This is an advanced, exciting, and natural alternative that can give you lasting relief using your body's own healing power. Listen, steroid shots are toxic to your joints. Pain meds can be addictive, and nobody wants to go under the knife. It's 2022, and those old ways are out. The new way is in. Regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing damaged joint tissue using natural biologics. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. QC Kinetics and their protocols can address any pain in any joint and give you the quality of life you deserve. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Saturday night, it's one of baseball's oldest rivalries as the Yankees battle the Red Sox. Play ball!
Right field and deep, at the wall. See ya! And the Yankees win! It's in there, strike three. Struck him out with a fastball, and the Red Sox win it.
Yankees, Red Sox. Coverage begins at 5:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I mean, I'm not saying it's too late, but I just think that we need to have a sense of urgency. I mean, this is why, this picture is so big, or what he put on Instagram or Facebook, is because there's a lot of people writing, or there's a lot of people depending on you. Tannehill's depending on you. The offensive line's depending on you. Vrabel's depending on you. Todd Downing is depending on you. So if you come in here out of shape and you're not ready to play football, it just puts the Tennessee Titans behind the eight ball, because look at the situation. A.J. Brown was a big player for the Tennessee Titans. He made big plays. He took over games. We're expecting Traylon Burks to do the exact same thing, because I'm gonna break it down to you like this. If we saw Taylor Lewan, with eating potato chips and on the boat, we wouldn't pay it any mind, because we know he's going to come in shape. But now you got Traylon Burks who comes in OTAs out of shape, not being able to participate. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And I'm not saying it's a time to panic right now. I just think it's a time for concern.
There you go. That was Chris Sanders. At least he's worried.
Leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Just wash it down with some Doritos.
We should be worried. By the way, if you think we're bad, do we have phone lines driven by WisconsinHunter.com? Do we have people that are like, you guys shouldn't be talking about Traylon Burks' weight?
Not as many people talking about, don't talk about his weight, but a lot of people that are like, what are you talking about? He'll be ready. He'll be fine. He just needs to cut a little bit. He'll be fine.
Okay, so if you think we're bad, and I am actually stunned that Caroline's the one that found this, but on the Felger and Mass program on 98.5, the Sports Hub in Boston, I guess Mac Jones has undergone a transformation this offseason. Mac had a little baby fat to him, and apparently Mac has rid himself of the baby fat. And this was the reaction on Boston Sports Radio. So if you think that we're bad, listen to this.
I think it's, again, I would use the word pathetic, that we are celebrating the fact that a 24 or 23-year-old, or however old Mac Jones is now, is actually in shape as a starting quarterback of the NFL team, and he's not some fat little dump anymore. That's a real reason to say, yeah, we got the next great thing. So what? Because he finally got in shape at age 24. He's not 60. Okay, first of all, he's a professional athlete, so we're going to marvel at the fact that he's in shape? That's pathetic. Really, let's give him credit for getting in shape. And listen, I'm glad he's worked at it. I'm not really mocking Jones. I'm more mocking the people who are making this huge deal out of it. Look at him. Well, I would hope he got himself in shape. Stop eating the Suzy Q's and the Devil Dogs and the Ring Dings and whatever else, the Twinkies. Start putting yourself on a meal program and get your fat ass into the gym.
Unbelievable.
I listened to that on my morning walk, and my jaw dropped. I was laughing so hard. And I texted you. I said, I think Maz just called Mac Jones a fat little dump.
I honestly, People think we're bad. Like, he got in shape, and they're worked up about people making a big deal about him being in shape.
But they have a fair point. Like, he is the starting quarterback in the NFL, and he's 24 years old. Let's not kiss the ground he walked on because he got in shape.
If Treylon Burks makes it through the first training camp practice, we are going to hear what do you think now? What do you think now, Jared?
That's his job.
Yes.
That is his job.
Congratulations that for the first time in the last 3 years, the Titans' first-round pick can get through the first training camp practice, which, by the way, we don't even know if he can. Now, Farley couldn't get through it for different reasons, but Isaiah Wilson was too much of a bum, and that's the situation that they found themselves in. So if you think we're bad, that's what they say.
Fat little dump.
A little dump. What do we have on our text line, which is driven by Wilson County? Hyundai.com on a Fireball Hot Take Friday.
Austin in Clearwater texts in and says, I'm not worried about Burks. Jared, come on, man. He's not a complete fatty here. I will believe that he will be more than ready for camp than you think. Now, I will start to worry during camp if he's doing limited practice for a long period of time.
Too late.
I'm waiting for camp to make a full judgment on
Think about this. Think about this. If he can't get through mandatory minicamp, and the excuse is, well, he's got 5 weeks. Then he has 5 weeks, and he can't get through real training camp. You think there's going to be a change between real training camp and the Giants?
No.
No!
I know I don't.
And so everybody, I'll wait till camp to be worried. Chris Sanders didn't sound like he was waiting till camp to be worried.
Well, Ryan texts in the text line and says, until preseason starts, I don't care what Burks looks like. If he doesn't perform when it counts, then I'll care.
If Burks plays in the preseason, that will be an indictment of him. He should not play in the preseason.
He shouldn't need to.
The NFL, there's 3 games now. The first one is against Baltimore, and you never play meaningful players in the first preseason game anymore. And the second 2 are coming on the heels of scrimmages with Tampa Bay and Arizona. So all the real work will get done against Tampa Bay and Arizona. So if Burks is playing in the preseason, that's a problem. Because if Burks is playing in the preseason, it's Malik Willis throwing the ball. It ain't going to be Ryan Tannehill throwing the football. I mean, my goodness gracious. If he doesn't play in the preseason, then I'll be worried. Chris Sanders doesn't feel that way. What's next?
Elliot texts in and says, I think that this is the best example of physically dominant dude in the SEC that not many people had fears about was Trent Richardson. Burks just needs a solid cut. Hopefully he will get there. In theory, if he can cut about 1.5 pounds a week for the next 8 weeks, he'll be a stud.
Okay. 8 weeks from now is what? Like week 4?
2 months, so September 8th.
So, I mean, what are we talking about? 1 pound a week?
I mean, September 8th is like leading into week 1.
Like 1 pound a week? What?
1.5 pounds.
1.5 pounds a week? That is cutting. Okay, so that would be 3,500 calories a week.
That would almost concern me.
So 1 pound is 3,500 calories per week. You have to burn 3,500 calories in order
to lose 1 pound.
So 3,500 calories a week. And then you have to burn another half of that. So that's what? What's half of 3,500? 1725?
Yeah.
Okay, so add that to 3,500. So Burks would have to be at like a 5,000 calorie deficit per week in training camp while practicing.
Yeah, that's almost dangerous.
Like, you want Treylon Burks?
He can't do that.
That's like, I mean, that's the stuff that you don't want.
Yeah,
so
you don't want him.
You can't do that.
Limiting himself in training camp when it's 100 degrees outside.
And you plateau. So even if he loses weight, then eventually he'll plateau. That's why this had to happen then. That's why the Titans are making a big deal about it, being like, hey, these next 5 weeks are critical because they don't have any more weeks. They don't have any more weeks. They've got how many weeks until training camp? Next week, and then the week after that, I'm off, and then the week after that, training camp. So they got 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much.
You don't get in shape in 2 weeks. I mean, this is a concern. Now, the thing about Burks is the biggest thing will be, can he play this year? Can Treylon Burks play at whatever weight he's at? Can he just play? Can he be the same Treylon Burks he was at Arkansas? We haven't even gotten to the fact that one of the biggest knocks on Burks coming out was that he wasn't really a route runner, and you're going to have to teach him those kind of routes. Well, I mean, we're trying to ask the guy to lose 5,000 calories a week and focus enough to be able to run routes with pads on and a helmet and like, hey, you know, we want you to cut that in at 13 yards, not at 11 yards, and that's not going to be easy. So if you just get Burks to be the Arkansas Burks for this year, maybe you can get by with it. But then next year, he's got to be, there's got to be no mistaking. You got to look at the body and say, hey, that looks good going into next year for any hope of a good career.
My only thing, and the bar is on the floor here, can he get through practice? He doesn't need to look like DK Metcalf. He doesn't need to be in a bodybuilding competition. Can he get through practice?
Boy, that's a tough ask.
Bars on the floor.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back to your phones. Plus, there's another little interesting nugget from the NFL that I found to be pretty interesting, and I think it's going to affect a lot of us. We'll get to that next right here on Stillman & Company Fireball Hot Take Friday on 102.5 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman & Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. A high of 97 today, heat index as high as 115, and a few isolated storms, better storm chances on Saturday.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you're looking to hire, look to Indeed. With Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution, you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Tennessee First Lady Maria Lee.
Every year, there are 20,000 children in Tennessee who have been abused or neglected. CASA volunteers provide crucial support in speaking up for these kids and supporting them in their search for a safe, loving, and permanent home. CASA volunteers can be the caring, consistent adult in a child's life who can make all the difference. To connect with a CASA program in your area, go to beforthechild.org.
Brought to you by Tennessee CASA in cooperation with the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Blood Assurance, the only nonprofit blood centers in Middle Tennessee, invites donors to give the gift of life with your blood donation and receive 2 tickets to a Nashville Sounds game and a patriotic baseball t-shirt now through July 8th. For more information, go to bloodassurance.org/homerun. Plus, all donors can enter to win Atlanta Braves tickets and a one-night stay in Atlanta, July 9th through the 15th. Blood Assurance is also offering $20 gift cards to all donors. Find it in your heart to donate today.
Darren McFarland.
That's the most personality I think I've heard.
Willie Donick.
Give me credit. I said it.
Chase McCabe.
I still talk to people outside of this building.
The DDC. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman & Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
What did you think when you saw it? What are your thoughts on Burks' body and the shape that he should be in or will be in come training camp?
Yeah, well, I actually had the same thoughts as Caroline as far as just the tone deafness. I think optically it's not exactly a good look. But at the same time, remember, a lot of these guys, they don't care what the outside world thinks. And I think that's something to take into account. But at the same time, this is something that's being said about you. So naturally, you should want to fight everything that's being said. There was actually a story today that he had up where he was standing on the boat and you could kind of see his full torso. I'll say this, I'm 46 years old and my body is very similar to that. Now, take that for what you want, but as a rookie coming into the league, especially at the receiver position, you kind of expect a different appearance.
That was TD on the Traylon Burks body shape. This from TB12 Sports on Instagram, at TB12 Sports. Tom's travel tips.
Good.
Not to be confused with Traylon's travel trips. Number 1, focus on pliability. Don't let cramped travel spaces leave you feeling tight and tense. Roll out before and after your journey.
I've never traveled without rolling out before and after.
Stay hydrated. Traveling can leave you dehydrated, so stay on top of your water intake. Why is that? People always say you get dehydrated traveling. I don't understand why.
I guess you're in a different routine.
Does the plane like suck out like a dehumidifier?
I don't know. I know the plane uses like recycled air,
Ah.
but I don't know.
Snack Smart. Pack protein bars, nuts, or fruit to avoid fast food. Easy to do that when you fly in a private jet, Tom.
Yeah, seriously.
They make you throw out a lot of that stuff. You try to go to the airport with it. Master your sleep, says Brady. Keep your wake-up time consistent and focus on getting enough sleep before the travel day. And BYO, workout. Bring your own workout. Don't forget to pack your TB12 bands to get a workout anywhere. Did not see anything about Doritos.
I hate that list.
Then again, I'll say this. Brady, they're like the paparazzi. They were taking pictures of Brady. He's like on some yacht off the coast of Italy with Giselle and the kids.
Yeah, I love when I do that.
Brady was working out the whole time. Like they showed him boxing some guy and some other stuff. And then there's a picture of him out there smoking a cigar on the boat.
That's not TB12 approved.
I did not see that in the TB12
That's not on
guide.
Tom's travel tips. It does not say BYO workout and cigar.
The big difference between Brady and Traylon Burks is that Brady made it through rookie minicamp 25 years ago.
And he's also won 7 subsequent Super Bowls.
Yes.
So smoke a stogie if you'd like.
One other interesting element, and then we're back to your phones. DirecTV, Roger Goodell came out and said that they are essentially going to take Sunday Ticket away from DirecTV. It's been exclusive to DirecTV for, I think, 35 years. It is going to go to a streaming service. Don't know who. ESPN Plus is going to pay a lot of money for it. Apple is, I think, going to try to pay. Amazon is going to try to pay. And even if you have those things, you'll still have to pay for Sunday Ticket because it is written in the Fox and CBS contracts that it has to be significantly more than watching it for free. So even if you have Amazon Prime and Amazon acquires the rights to Sunday Ticket, you then still have to pay the $300 or whatever a year in order to get Sunday Ticket. Goodell says that we'll know soon enough who the next carrier of Sunday Ticket will be in 2023. I don't know if people find that fascinating. I do. My parents have Sunday Ticket. Since I watch all the Titans games at my parents' house anyways, I would essentially say that I have Sunday Ticket because I go over there on Sundays and we watch the Titans, and then I'm usually footballed out. Usually don't watch that late game. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I Sunday Ticket it. Sometimes I red zone it. The only time that I really, truly use Sunday Ticket is if the Titans play a noon game and then Indy is on the road at Arizona. And nobody's getting that game because everybody else is getting the Cowboys and the Patriots. And then it's like nice to have Sunday Ticket to watch that game and root for Arizona. Let's get back to your phone, 615-737-1025. What do we have?
Cody texts in and says it's pretty tone deaf to post pictures with Doritos drinking Busch Light when he knows the talk of him has been that he's out of shape.
Was he drinking Busch Light?
I don't think I saw that.
He might have been.
He might have been.
Doritos was a video, and I didn't see the video.
No, it was deleted because I'm sure he has a PR person that said, "Hey, Traylon, everyone thinks you're fat, and this doesn't help."
So I would say that I know Traylon's PR people, and so do you. And my guess is they wouldn't have said it like that.
Well, probably not. I would probably ease the blow a little bit more. But I'm not talking to him.
I actually
I didn't call him a fat little dump, so I feel like that was being nice.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that it would be the PR people doing that. I think that would be. I think that's a responsibility for Stretch.
Who is that?
Stretch?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Vrabel's consigliere. Remember when Vrabel got COVID and he put his personal assistant in charge of coaching the team?
Did he really? When was that?
Last year.
Really?
Yeah, in the preseason game against the Bears.
Oh, yes.
We put his personal assistant in charge of calling the game. And it was like, well, we don't want to upset anything, so, the personal assistant who's not getting coffee is going to go out there. I mean, I think the Stretch guy, I think he does more than, get coffee.
He does dirty work.
But he is Vrabel's, he's Vrabel's
right-hand guy.
Consigliere. He's his, he's his
buddy.
Guy. He's his guy. What else we got?
Another texter checks in and says Traylon will be fine come training camp.
How?
Get off his case already.
How do you know? How do you know? What data, evidence, what point do you have that Traylon Burks will be okay and ready to go and play at the first round pick as far as all this is concerned?
a little bit of hope and a whole lot of two-tone blue pride,
I mean,
baby.
That's what that text is. Like, no, it'll be fine. Like, I don't know that it will be fine. I don't know. Like, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be an okay starting quarterback in the NFL, but I don't know because I haven't seen Trevor Lawrence be an okay starting quarterback in the NFL. I think Joe Burrow is going to be a good starting quarterback in the NFL, but I have evidence that Joe Burrow is a good starting quarterback in the NFL. That's a big difference. That is a big, big, big difference.
Would you be surprised if Treylon Burks got out there in the first day of training camp and balled out, was able to make it through no problem?
Yeah.
I don't think I would be surprised, but I'm also not expecting it.
I think he'll get through it. I don't think he'll ball out. I mean, I think Burks is – I mean, if the guy's out of shape and he doesn't run routes,
he's got a tough path.
You can get away with that in the SEC. You're not getting away with that in the NFL.
But even then, like if you asked me, can you be a baller in the SEC when you're out of shape and you don't run routes? I'd say probably not.
I don't know. Like I go back to basketball and other sports. Like Charles Barkley was awesome at Auburn. Charles Barkley got to the NBA and he didn't play because he was too fat. And then he lost weight and then he was awesome. You know, once you get to the pros, it's just so different in the pros.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. It's different.
It's so much harder in the pros. People don't understand, like, how much more difficult the pros are than college. I keep going back to Tim Tebow. And Tim Tebow was incredible at Florida. And he was below average in the NFL. And so to say, well, Burks was good in college, right.
Well, he was good in college, and he's going up against other first-round corners. Like, he's faced difficult competition. Yeah. But to your point, yes, this is a different game.
Chad Withrow joins us, Outkick 360. I do wonder his reaction to the conference expansion and the ACC grant of rights, because everybody thinks you can just break it. Notre Dame today put up the stop sign, at least in the immediate future, for them. What does he make of that? Fireball whiskey. I love Fireball. On Fireball Hot Take Fridays, Fireball whiskey is so good, it goes down so smooth, and it tastes so great. There is no better way to ignite the night than to do it with ice-cold Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. That's right. That's why I love Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, and you will too. So be sure to stop and get some Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey on your way. And, of course, be sure to enjoy that responsibly. So don't enjoy that on your way, but take it on your way to where you go. And then when you get to where you go, enjoy it responsibly and be 21 years or older to enjoy. That's Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey.
You watch the game.
And the score! Philip Forsberg from the left circle.
We talk the game.
You can't just pick up one guy and be competitive in the playoffs.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, Willie Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month. And inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it that you can access with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off those 23% rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut $800 or more from their monthly budget. If your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto now and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Back in 1949, Dr. Houston began the tradition of treating athletes for common sports injuries. Today, the sports medicine physicians at Houston Clinic Orthopedics continue his legacy. Whether you play at school, in a league, on a professional team, or just enjoy being active, Houston Clinic Orthopedics physicians are there to help you stay in the game. Common sports injuries include tears, strains, sprains, and instabilities of the knee, shoulder, and ankle. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is located where you work and live. Visit tn.houston.com to book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
1025 The Game is teaming up with Newton Motor Group and Souls for Souls to provide shoes for children experiencing homelessness in Nashville and the surrounding area. With school coming back, our goal is to raise $20,000, which will provide 1,000 pairs of shoes for kids. Please help however you can by going to thegamenashville.com/shoes. All donations go directly to Souls for Souls to give shoes to children in Middle Tennessee. thegamenashville.com/shoes.
We here at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game are looking for our next great executive producer. Hey, it's Chase McCabe, the program director. If you think that's you and you think that you have the experience, the drive, and of course you share that love of sports, send your resume and cover letter to together@cromwellmedia.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. ESPN 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome game 7.
Checkered flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Fireball Hot Take Friday. There was a tweet yesterday that was sent out. What was the outlet called again?
Swim Swam News.
Swim Swam News. And before we dump on news organizations, quote unquote, that we haven't heard of, Sportico, who I had never heard of, reported that the Predators were getting sold.
Well, Swim Swam News covers college swimming.
I'm not going to rule it out that they could have something, but this was obviously not true. They had sources that said that Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson were trying to get out of the ACC to join the SEC. For about 20 minutes, Twitter was on fire, and then people said, no, it's not true. It's not this. It's not that. And all I'm going to say is it's a very believable report. Even though the report is not accurate, it was a very believable report because who knows what's next in this. Last week, I was on vacation, saw USC and UCLA, and thought, what, my goodness gracious. So, today, Jack Swarbrook, the athletic director at Notre Dame, talked to Heather Dinich at ESPN and said that for now, Notre Dame plans to stay as an independent. However, he said 3 things that would make continuing as an independent unsustainable, as Swarbrook, the athletic director at Notre Dame, says, would be the loss of a committed broadcast partner, a.k.a. NBC, the loss of a fair route to the postseason, or an adverse financial consequence that you had to reconsider. Swarbrook said, there are years where it will make it more difficult for you to make the playoff. We recognize that, but we've had ourselves a pretty darn good history of positioning ourselves to make the playoff during the first phase of its existence, and I think we can continue down the road. There's a very small number of schools that have been in the playoff more than Notre Dame. That's coming from Jack Swarbrook. To me, that was, for right now, Jack Swarbrook is throwing up the stop sign at third base on Notre Dame being a true free agent and joining a league right now. Chad Withrow joins us, Outkick 360, presented by Apple Collision Centers, applecollisioncenters.com. Chad, your reaction to Jack Swarbrook's comments today and Notre Dame and where they go from here, and your thoughts on the week we've had with all the rumors surrounding conference expansion.
Well, my first reaction is shocked that you've never heard of Sportico. That's the sport version of Politico. I think Sportico and Swim Swam are 2 completely different publications. So I'm shocked that you had never heard of Sportico.
Never.
Before that report.
The only thing that I knew, Scott Shosnick was a part of that report, and I knew him when I worked on a Bloomberg News talk station in New Hampshire in 2013, and he did like the Bloomberg sports updates, and so we talked a little bit or whatever. So I knew that he was like at least in New York and had worked for Bloomberg. That's all I knew.
Well, I mean, I think we can agree, though, Sportico, who discusses the business of sport, reporting on an NHL ownership move, is probably more believable than a swimming site getting it right on conference expansion with the ACC. Now, I will agree with you on this, though, Jared. It's very believable that those schools would be dying to get to the SEC. they'd be crazy if they didn't want to get out of the ACC and get to the SEC. It's just about that grant of rights deal and making all of that happen. I don't understand where ESPN, they've got a sweetheart deal right now with the ACC because the ACC was desperate to keep everyone together. When Maryland left for the Big Ten, they thought that others were going to bolt. So in response to that, they decided to come up with this grant of rights deal where they all had to stay together and would make it impossible for them to leave until 2036. And now we see how that has aged, that decision. But I'm not going to dump on the ACC in that moment because their thought was we got to keep everyone together and this we have to do to do that. And now they're losing money because of it. But ESPN is the beneficiary of that decision with the contract. So I don't know why ESPN would want to void that contract unless there's some sort of agreement that in this new world order, the ESPN, that the SEC, by taking those schools, North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, Florida State, they form basically what is now major college football. And in some ways, they come to some agreement with ESPN that they're, in cahoots in running major college football, which, many would probably argue they're doing that right now anyway. So I don't buy that report, but I do buy the idea that those schools would want out. I'll say this for any school in America that's not currently in the SEC or the Big Ten or Notre Dame. You should do whatever it takes to get to one of those two conferences. If you care at all about not just surviving, but thriving financially, you need to do whatever you can to get to those conferences. If you're in the Pac-12, do not go to the Big 12 right now. Do anything you can to get to the Big 10 or the SEC. Same goes for Big 12 schools, ACC, independent, on down the line. That's where you need to be if you want to thrive.
Okay, to that, I agree with you. Chad Withrow with us, because I'll use Colorado as the example that you brought up. I saw they're looking to go back to the Big 12, and I thought, why? I don't know exactly what, and I do want to ask you what you would value if you were a commissioner and looking to pick up these teams, but it used to be that it was big markets. Denver's a big market. And you could, if you're the SEC, I don't know if SEC Network is on tier 1 of cable programming in Denver, Colorado, but if you can get Colorado into the SEC, if you're looking to move westward, that could be a possibility. Not the Big 12. You got out of the Big 12 for a reason 10 years ago. Now you're trying to get back into the Big 12. And so I would agree with you that if you get into a conference that is not that, unless Notre Dame joins the ACC, and then I could see more schools wanting to go to the ACC, I don't understand why you would want to leave a conference to go to another conference that isn't the Big 10 or the SEC.
It's like going from, Conference USA to Sun Belt.
Yep.
Or vice versa right now. That's the equivalent of Big 12 leaving for Pac-12 or Pac-12 leaving for Big 12. And the reports are it would be Pac-12 leaving for Big 12. What needs to happen is a merger of equals right now. The remaining Pac-12 schools should combine with the Big 12 and come up with, the West Conference. I don't know what they call it. I don't care. But you form something new, much like the Southwest Conference combining with the old Big 8 became the Big 12, and that set them up for success for a nice long run. I think you combine those two, even if you cherry pick and take the top half or top 3/4 of both of those conferences and combine them into a super conference, that's how you compete with the Big 10 and the SEC. That's the only way I could see them possibly competing. If not, you've just got a bunch of separate entities looking out for old number one and trying to get out to the Big 10 or the SEC. But no, I don't see anything that would draw me into the Big 12 if I'm one of those schools other than leverage. Maybe those schools are looking around and thinking, hey, if this is out there that we're being courted by the Big 12, maybe we become more attractive to the Big 10 or the SEC. It's like the guy that suddenly claims that the hot girl is after him on Instagram to make some other girl jealous, where that girl will want to, reunite with him. That's basically what they could be doing in terms of leverage, showing how wanted they are by the Big 12, so the Big 10 or the SEC will finally want them.
So I was told this week by an athletic director that the major wild card in all of this is CBS, because CBS loses the SEC rights, and has, as we all know, a deep piggy bank to go to if they wanted to buy more college rights. Chad, do you think the remaining teams that are not in a conference could give CBS something that would be willing for CBS to pay the money that could be comparable to what Fox and ESPN are paying the Big Ten and the SEC?
So if what we have right now, right, ESPN controls the SEC and vice versa.
Yeah, and the ACC.
Correct, absolutely. But just in terms of the two big powers right now. So, and then the Big Ten is, Fox and ESPN. If I am CBS, because you know that ESPN's up there in Bristol pulling the strings on a lot of this that's happening. If I am CBS, I am trying to pull the strings on that merger I just mentioned. I am going in for the rights of a Pac-12, Big 12 combination, new conference that is a big-time financial partner of CBS. And you've got two guys now with Yormak in the Big 12 who comes over from Rock Sports, Rock Nation, and you've got Kliavkoff who comes over from MGM that has an entertainment outside-the-box background on sports. They're running the Pac-12 and the Big 12. I think it makes perfect sense. If you're CBS and you can get it on your CBS Sports Network also, you got a lot of good programming on Saturday now that runs up until, 2 a.m. when the last Pac-12 game is played. If you could come to an agreement on that, I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's cutting edge, and it gets CBS back in the game of being a major player in college sports, outside of the NCAA tournament, obviously. But I think that would make a lot of sense for both conferences and for CBS.
What would you do if you were Notre Dame?
If I were Notre Dame, I would remain independent as long as I'm getting that check from NBC. But I would be, much like I said with the leverage game, I would be flirting with both the SEC and the Big Ten to find out where I'm eventually going to land. They're going to join a conference at some point, right? I mean, it's going to happen. Just a matter of time at this point. But I would set myself up perfectly to get the best possible deal from one of those two conferences, or, go, like you said, go to the ACC, solidify the ACC financially, but get a bigger share. Get a bigger piece of the pie from the ACC and get a better financial deal from that, and not just be an equal partner like they would be in the Big Ten or the SEC.
So I have a theory on that. Chad Withrow with us, Outkick 360, presented by Apple Collision Centers, online at applecollisioncenters.com. I have an interesting thought on this, which is that ESPN owns the ACC. They now own the SEC, and they have rights agreements, but they will expire with the Big 12 and the Pac-12. Have to essentially usher Notre Dame into the ACC on a full-time basis, so that they would then have two relevant football conferences, and they would have more inventory, and their network the ACC network that they're involved with, would probably be more. Notre Dame has more fans than all the ACC teams anyways, and you would be able to keep the importance of the conference championship game in the ACC, which is a big deal in these TV packages or those conference championship games. Would that not make more sense if you're ESPN to want to own two super conferences and not just one super conference?
Well, the answer is yes for ESPN. It makes absolute sense for them. I just don't know where it would make any sense for Notre Dame. ESPN is stroking you an NBC-sized check to do that because, financially, yes, if I'm ESPN, absolutely I'd love to get Notre Dame in that sweetheart deal they have with SEC right now. But it's not going to be a sweetheart deal anymore to get Notre Dame, right? It's kind of the chicken and the egg, where to get Notre Dame into the ACC, you're going to have to pay them a lot of money to make it worth their while. And, oh, by the way, the ACC and all their schools are going to have to agree to give Notre Dame a little bit more of the pie in order to get them over there. So after all of that cost is factored in, is it still worth it? I don't know. But, I mean, if they could just somehow convince Notre Dame to join the ACC, it would make perfect sense for ESPN. And, look, I think it makes a lot of sense now with their relationship in every other sport with the ACC. But, I mean, there would have to be a lot of money coming to the table from ESPN that's going to pump back into that conference and specifically to Notre Dame to get them to make that jump.
Chad Withrow with us from Outkick 360. We'll continue this on the other side. And I think the next big question in all of this is, which teams really matter? Like, if you're a conference commissioner, what matters to you? We'll get into that with Chad coming up next. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, presented by Apple Collision Centers, online at applecollisioncenters.com. Fireball Hot Take Friday, Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar, moving on 102.5 The Game.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Stillman and Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Inviting you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Jump into the thrill at Bally's Evansville Casino. Play to win with lots of slots and live and electronic table games. Visit the High Limit Room for an elevated experience. Take a break with a cold tap house brew or a snack at the deli. For more elegant dining, check out the flavors, river views, and music at Kavanaugh's. Enjoy a relaxing stay at the Bally's Hotel or the luxurious Legends Tower. Plan your casino getaway at Bally'sEvansville.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Save big this 4th of July at Electronic Express. Get an LG 55-inch 4K TV for $399 or a Samsung black stainless washer dryer for $549 each. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Xbox S bundle for just $389 or an Acer laptop for $229. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make celebrations happen.
Thanks, everyone, for baking your way here on this toasty morning. Are you all ready to jam? Excellent. Before we get rolling, let's start by hashing out everything bagel will be discussing. Profit margins are okay, but they could maybe be butter. Sorry, I don't mean to waffle. Next quarter, it's all or muffin. Did you have a question, Sausage Patty?
My name's Patricia.
When you can't take your mind off breakfast, it matters where you stay. Delicious breakfast available at our Hilton family of brands. Hilton, for the stay.
Smoke City Smoke Shop is Nashville's one-stop shop for all your smoking needs, including Delta 8 and Delta 10 products, CBD, disposable vapes, hookahs, accessories, locally blown glass, and more. Smoke City Smoke Shop, located at 951 Main Street in East Nashville, and their helpful team is ready to take great care of you. Stop by today and mention GAME and get 20% off your order. That's GAME at checkout for 20% off. Smoke City Smoke Shop in East Nashville, your #1 destination for smoking products in Music City.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On ESPN 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Fireball Hot Take Friday. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360 is with us, presented by Apple Collision Centers, online at applecollisioncenters.com. So Andy Staples has an interesting piece at The Athletic, but I really haven't read it. I've just seen the chart. And it is about the teams that basically draw the most viewers outside of the SEC, outside of the Big Ten, and outside of Notre Dame. And in it, teams that you wouldn't think of, like Washington State, are there. But other teams that you would probably expect, like I would expect in a list like this, a big market team, Cal, for instance, and San Francisco would be in there, not there. I would expect maybe a team like Duke would be there, not there. Clemson has the most million-plus viewer watched games at 34, Florida State 31, Washington 28, Oregon 26, Miami 22, Washington State 21, Oklahoma State and Utah 19, Louisville and Stanford 18, North Carolina 16. Virginia, who's often mentioned in expansion, not there. Chad Withrow's with us. So, Chad, my question for you is, you're a conference commissioner. What do you value now? because I think the days of valuing Rutgers because it gets us the New York market, quote unquote, is probably out the window.
Yeah, I value what you just mentioned that Andy Staples wrote about, eyeballs on television. Yes, it's outdated to think about, going to a market. And also, it was just foolish to think that Rutgers owned the New York City market.
Ridiculous.
In the time. It still is. I mean, that's crazy. I value eyeballs. I value recruiting territory and where you want to stake a flag. That's why I think, North Carolina and Virginia, in some capacity, perfect for the SEC. Right now, the SEC has something on their side that the Big Ten and the Big 12 don't have: geography. Every school is connected to another SEC school. They border another SEC state. That would continue by adding North Carolina and either Virginia or Virginia Tech. So I'm crazy maybe, but I think that matters. I like that about the SEC, so I'm looking at that. But I think the top thing is brand awareness and legitimate television ratings, and how many people are going to watch football games featuring those teams. I look at everything with basketball, baseball, the women's basketball, whatever. If there's a dominant program or one that garners national interest in one of those sports, that's just that's the additive. That's the pepper on top of the meal. That's really how these conferences are looking at all those things. It helps if you've got Duke and you've got Duke basketball on your side. I mean, it's going to help your case if you're Kansas and your football program is terrible and no one ever watches them because they don't win anything. But it helps if you have Kansas basketball. But I don't think it's that big of a factor in any of these moves. So going back to Andy Staples' piece, I think it's television ratings. I think it's geography in terms of where you want to lay claim from a recruiting standpoint. And I think it's overall brand awareness.
Okay, then we'll go through these. If you were commissioner of either the Big Ten or the SEC, would you have, just yes or no, would you have interest in Clemson?
Absolutely.
Florida State?
Yes.
Washington?
If I'm the Big Ten, yes, but not if I'm the SEC. Not for both.
Oregon?
Yes, if I'm the Big Ten.
I think if I'm the SEC, I still have interest in Oregon, but I mean, it doesn't make a lot of geographical sense. Miami?
Yes.
Big Ten?
Yes for the SEC on that one.
Big Ten and Washington State?
No, but I don't care what that chart tells me.
Oklahoma State or Utah?
God, that's a really good one. Utah.
Oklahoma State, has some good games. And if you're the SEC, you've already got Oklahoma, though. Do you need Oklahoma State? That one to me is kind of complicated. And Utah may be, of all the teams other than Texas A&M that expanded over the last 15 years, Utah may be the team that's carried the most weight to their new conference.
Oh, for sure. And Utah, I think, would be a great Big Ten addition. But it also goes back to my plan for Pac-12 and Big 12 merging. Imagine now having BYU and Utah in the same conference as rivals, if that were to happen. But Utah is for the Big Ten. I really look at these, and again, I'm looking at geography, and I understand that with USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten, geography's out the window. But I look at this going eventually to 24 teams in each conference, and I think Utah is going to the Big Ten. So I just see them as a Big Ten addition down the road.
Would you take Louisville, Stanford, or North Carolina if you were the ACC or the Big Ten?
I would take North Carolina, followed. Who was the third you said?
Stanford.
North Carolina, Louisville, and who? Stanford?
Stanford.
I am barely considering Stanford if I'm the Big Ten. Barely. If you're going to 24, they're probably left out, but they're right on the edge if you're adding 8 more teams. I am wanting North Carolina if I'm either the Big Ten or the SEC. And if I'm the SEC, Louisville falls in that right around the 24th team level that I would want. I am surprised, though, Jared, your alma mater isn't mentioned more in these discussions. I really am. I've heard more Cincinnati than Louisville. Cincinnati for the Big Ten than I have Louisville for either, and that surprises me.
I don't think we have any chance at either conference. I mean, I really don't. I wish I could be more, our school is. I just, and you brought up the basketball thing, which I wanted to get to because obviously basketball doesn't matter in the conference realignment because we killed the best basketball conference in America in the Big East when conference realignment happened 10 years ago. We had, whether it was Connecticut and Villanova and Georgetown and Syracuse and Louisville and Pittsburgh. And, it was a great conference. I think it got 11 teams into the tournament one year, and it didn't matter. And I do wonder, though, if you're a conference and you take Carolina, don't you have to take Duke too? Because you get 2 basketball games a year between the two, and those get football TV ratings. And the Final Four ratings this year, while it was Coach K's last game, so that was a bump, but those were mega ratings for Duke UNC. Duke is a big-time, ratings getter for basketball. I almost wonder if, and we heard some people talking about breaking away from the NCAA. Well, with that in the basketball tournament, what are your thoughts where basketball is considered in all of this? Because if basketball is considered, then maybe we have a chance at the Big Ten, or maybe we have a chance Louisville at the SEC. I just don't think basketball matters at all.
I think basketball matters. I don't think it matters enough when you're looking at conference realignment and decision-making from the conference, but I do think it matters. It matters more than people want to let on. The North Carolina Duke thing, you want that to continue. I don't want to, blow everyone's, mind here at the end of this segment before we sign off. But here's something I've been toying with. If Notre Dame can join the ACC in every sport but football, why can't some of these moves happen with football only?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't some teams, why can't USC and UCLA continue to play Pac-12 basketball, baseball, volleyball, water polo, swimming, everything, and just compete in the Big Ten in football, and then take the TV share from football? Why can't North Carolina and Duke stay in the ACC, even if North Carolina goes to the SEC in football? It's possible. Is it likely because of the money at stake and how, scorned some of these conferences will be when they leave them behind for football somewhere else? Probably not, but I wouldn't mind seeing that happen because I do think that these conference rivalries matter in these sports, and I want to see them continue.
So Kirk Herbstreit and Joel Klatt both made comments over the last week about the idea of basically breaking away from the NCAA, different governance. Herbie brought up the idea of a CBA and paying the players, which I think makes no sense because right now you're paying the players zero TV money. And the last thing I would do is I'm moving all these conferences for TV money. The last thing I'm going to do is give the players half the TV money. But I do wonder this. If that's the next step to split away from the NCAA, and the NCAA really is toothless when it comes to football, I think it would ruin the basketball tournament. If we were to say the Big Ten and the SEC are not part of the NCAA, but all the other ones are, then you're going to have 2 basketball tournaments. And I think it's like the John Madden quarterback rule. If you got 2 tournaments, you got no tournaments. And as a sports fan, just like I love the old Big East, I know everybody's making their money. I'm not seeing any of that money. I want the basketball tournament. I love the basketball tournament. Do you think the basketball tournament is in jeopardy with all these moves?
Well, first off, I love both Kirk Herbstreit and Joel Klatt. I think they're excellent at what they do, and had a chance to hang out with Joel Klatt some in Birmingham around the USFL. Super nice guy, very intelligent, knows his football. I also think that both those guys talk to a lot of people in administration, in conferences, and with these schools.
And the networks.
They have been led, yes, and they have been led to believe by their employers as well. Absolutely, Jared. They've been led to believe by all these people, and maybe they've swallowed the Kool-Aid on this, but they think that they want to convince everyone's going to be just fine. And this is all for the good of the sport. I think that's bogus. This is for the good of the conference and the schools to make more money. That's all that it's about. And the last thing I want to see is the NCAA tournament as we know it go away. Mm-hmm. I want to preserve that at all costs. I say that fully recognizing that these conferences combined with ESPN, Fox, and whoever else gets in the game will make that decision ultimately. And we can't stop the future from happening. But man, oh man, do I want to see the NCAA tournament not touched in any way, shape, or form.
I think that is 99% of sports fans feel that way, which is, look, you guys want to go to different conferences and make more money. I don't care. You know, at the end of the day, fine. I mean, Connecticut got left out of the last one, and it ruined their program. Don't ruin the basketball tournament because we care about the basketball tournament. I mean, the basketball tournament gets huge. The basketball tournament is as popular as the college football playoff. I mean, like the Final Four, for instance, is as popular. I mean, don't ruin that for us, the fans, but I am worried they're going to ruin it for us.
Yeah, and it's all because, you know, who's getting the check. The problem is with everyone else is, well, that's the NCAA's moneymaker. So, you know, we don't have enough money yet with the 80 to 100 million we're going to dole out to every school with our TV package because of football. So we got to go get more money somewhere else. So let's take the NCAA's money on that and then form our own thing and see if we can do it just as well. And the fan out there, you're right, Jared. They just don't care.
Nope.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, we don't care who's making the money. We want to watch this event that has gone on throughout our lives that we cherish and we love. And we associate an entire time of year to that event. So don't mess it up.
I think it's like the live golf thing when all of a sudden it was like, oh, no. Everybody who participates in live golf will play in the Open, and they'll play in the Masters, and they'll play in the U.S. Open. And, okay, then what do I care? So they're not playing the John Deere Classic. Great. I don't watch a John Deere Classic anyways. I mean, that is how I felt about that, and that's how I feel about this, which is, you know, you guys want to do things to college football, fine, but don't mess up the basketball tournament. Chad Withrow with us. Outkick 360, as always. Chad, great stuff. We'll talk next week.
All right, that was fun. Thanks, guys.
Yep, Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, presented by Apple Collision Centers. Don't take the basketball tournament from me. It's all I'm asking.
Well, I have to think, I mean, you say it's just as popular, you Final Four is just as popular as college football playoff. They know that. They understand that. And I don't think that there's going to be any moves that are made that lose any network's money.
There's probably some truth to that.
This is all about money.
But how much money does, and I'm sure it's a lot. I do wonder, though, how much money does the Big Ten get, for instance, for having 6 teams that make the tournament on a yearly basis? How much money do they get? Because the conferences are the ones that split the money. So everything that Kentucky or Alabama does in basketball or football, Vanderbilt somehow reaps the benefits of. But how much money is that worth if you can make even way more money doing something else?
I don't know.
And that is what bothers me. Because if all of a sudden we're playing a basketball tournament every year and Kentucky and UCLA and Indiana and Michigan State and those schools are not in that basketball tournament, I mean, then that basketball tournament's not – look, we're getting Gonzaga and we're getting Baylor and we're getting Duke and that's fine. But it's not the same without those other schools. And so if that happens, the basketball tournament, we are screwed. 615-737-1025 on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Darren McFarland said something today at the end of DDC. If you're a Preds fan, you need to hear it. And we'll get to that next, right here on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, I'm Matthias Ekholm, and this is Smashville.
Ekholm, his shot, he scores! Matthias Ekholm gets the Predators' third of the night.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Ever wonder what toys do when people aren't around? With the Nashville Symphony performing the score live, Disney Pixar's Toy Story answers that question with a fantastic, fun-filled journey, viewed mostly through the eyes of 2 rival toys. Woody, the lanky, likable cowboy, and Buzz Lightyear, the fearless space ranger. Toy Story in concert with the Nashville Symphony, July 8th through the 10th, including a Sunday matinee performance. Presented by Disney Concerts. Get your tickets now at NashvilleSymphony.org.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks is so excited to introduce a brand new wing flavor, Hot Honey. They brought the heat with this one, featuring honey, crushed red pepper, jalapenos, and cayenne pepper. It's sweet on the front end with a kick at the end. Get to Twin Peaks to find your new favorite wing sauce.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Sunday. The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Atlanta for the Quaker State 400. Coverage begins at 1. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I think that what has happened here is they're not far apart, but it's just not been as easy to close. I still think at the end of the day, I think there's still a path to get it done between Forsberg and the Predators. But I will say this has been harder than I thought. I think it's been harder than everyone thought, and I always worry about the emotion in times like this. I think if cooler heads prevail, this works out, and I still see a path to a deal, but there's no question it's been harder than everybody thought.
That was Elliot Friedman on DDC yesterday talking about, hey, I think the Forsberg deal's going to get done, but we shall see. And last week, Elliot made it sound like it was going to be a slam dunk to get the Forsberg deal done. The draft is over. David Poyle is not having a press conference today, which makes no sense to me, but apparently they got to get to the airport to fly back to Nashville. And I guess there's no press conference.
They can't miss their flight.
There's no press conference tonight, and there's no press conference scheduled, at least for tomorrow, which, again, doesn't make any sense to me, but that's okay. It's their world, not mine. It is amazing that the Predators, for years and years and years, would have killed to have people wanting to talk about the draft, and now people want to talk about the draft, and there's no press conference. But I want to get to the important topic here, which is the Forsberg deal. Look, I was told that there was a pretty good chance that deal was going to get done yesterday. And I didn't say that to anybody that I had heard that there were a lot of grumblings that there was a chance the deal was going to get done yesterday before the draft. And when it didn't get done, I was a little surprised. In fact, I even told TD that I thought there was a chance that deal was going to get done. And if it had happened while TD was on, then we were going to we were going to get out of TD and get to the Forsberg contract. Well, Darren McFarland, who has only been covering this team since the first day they arrived. Darren McFarland had a take that I would not have heard today on DDC if I had not popped my earbuds in right before we went on the air, right after they got off the air. But I heard this, and I thought to myself, where's Darren getting this from? Here's what Darren said today.
I told you at the beginning of the show, my odds, believe it or not, just sleeping on it, no new news, went up of Philip Forsberg re-signing to now 90.09%. That is what I've locked in. And I said I expect a deal to be struck before we hit the airwaves on Monday.
T.
Why can't anyone in this station just pick a normal number?
No. I think he's telling you something there.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, side note quickly, can we just use a regular number? But
I think I know why he didn't use that regular number.
90.09?
Yes.
9.09?
What's Yossi make?
What number is Forsberg?
9.25.
So, Yossi is 9.059.
9.059. So he's expecting Forsberg to make what? 9.09.
9.09.
Forsberg also wears number 9, so lots of 9s involved.
Lots of 9s.
Now, I'll say this.
Yossi also wears 59.
Well, that's why that's 5'9".
Yeah.
I do not believe that. Play that very, very first part again of this cut. You can keep our mics up, Ian, and I'll just tell you when to stop it. But there's one part of this thing Darren said that I just don't believe.
I told you at the beginning of the show, my odds, believe it or not, just sleeping on it. No new news.
Stop it. You think it is just sleeping on it with no new news?
No.
Darren, I think
knows. Darren's up to something.
What new news came out?
No new news came out to us, but I think it sounds like new news came out to Darren.
Yeah, not publicly.
I don't think Darren McFarland's bullcrapping us on this. Now, I don't know if a deal will get done over the weekend, but I think a deal gets done at the beginning of next week. And I think Darren is making it clear that Darren is hearing that
$9 million.
Darren, at the very end of the show, said, I think that this deal will be done by the time we get on the air Monday. He never says stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, Darren never just...
And
also...
me.
I say like 100% I think the deal's going to get done.
Also, it's just a feeling, just sleeping on it. How do you sleep on that and come across that number? You don't.
So, do you think Darren is hinting at the number in the contract? That Philip Forsberg is going to sign an 8-year deal at $9.09 million.
I hope not.
Oh, my God, I hope he doesn't.
$9 million over 8 years, and if it does include a full no movement clause, David Poile just got worked up and down.
What did I tell you?
$9 million.
What did I tell you during the break? And again, on this show, we have a rule that nobody gets in trouble for something that they haven't done yet.
No.
But what did I tell you? My 2 o'clock topic opinion was going to be if they signed Philip Forsberg to a $9 million a year contract. Over 8 years.
That you could run the team better than
if this comes down, and I don't know if Darren was hinting at the number with the 9.09, because Yossi's 9.059, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not going to pay Forsberg. So it'd have to be like 9.009 because they're not going to pay Forsberg more than Yossi.
Like $9,090.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to pay him more than they're paying Yossi. But if they pay Philip Forsberg $9 million a year, and they won't. Like, I want everybody out there to know that there's no shot on an 8-year deal.
Then why is that the
number
number that Darren chose?
I don't know, but if
because
they do, I will tell you that I could run the hockey club better than David Poile if that is in fact what happens. Which again, we have a rule: nobody gets in trouble for something they haven't done.
No, but if that is the number, I think that David Poile is just putty in JP Barry's hands, and he was able to stretch it and squeeze it to get $9 million out of him.
Spanked on the bottom already. Full no move. They're in the 8s. It's an 8-year deal. That is
if it's 9
that is already
without a full no
on the
move,
bottom, but
I think I can entertain that.
Not for 8 years.
8 years, but I mean, with not a full move, then you're free to deal him wherever you want, whenever you want.
That is fair. Ian, what is your reaction to the Darren McFarland non-report report, or as we were talking about earlier this week, the difference between I think and I'm telling you, and that felt like I'm telling you. Ian, your reaction?
It did kind of feel like that, but I don't necessarily want to go that, I don't necessarily want to take that step. He's been slowly creeping the number up all week, and I feel like Darren's been Willie as well, been kind of creeping the number up a little bit more each day during the week.
Because it was 825 a couple days ago.
2 days ago.
2 days ago. And now we're at 9.09.
And the percentages keep slowly going up as well.
I told Darren 2 or 3 days ago off the air, I was like, I am confident this deal's going to get done soon. And he did not share the same optimism that I had at that point in time.
Their confidence level seems to be slowly going up. I do want to say Darren's number is 8.25, and he doesn't want to go over that per year.
I think 8.25 is a fair number to offer given what it would equal on a 7-year deal.
Hate to speak for them, but
and the full no movement and everything else. But they really were banging away at 8.25 2 days ago.
I think the 90.09 is just a fun thing to play with Forsberg's number 9.
With the number?
Yeah, with his he wears number 9, and it's all 9s, 90.09, just for fun.
Do we think Darren's right that by 2 p.m. Monday that they will have a Forsberg deal?
What's the date?
Today's the 8th.
I don't even know what today is. The 8th.
The 8th.
9th, 10th, 11th.
And that's the 13th, huh, for
I think
free
the 12th,
agency?
I think the 12th is the deadline on the 8th year.
I mean, that's pretty close to a deadline spur actions right there. I mean, I've heard C-May say he's at 99.99%.
Oh, see, everybody's finally getting to the Jared Stillman.
Not 100, not quite
100%.
Not 101.
101% last week, me.
But who was it, Ian, who Adam was saying it took down to like the last 30 seconds to sign a deal?
Yep.
Landeskog. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that comes down to this.
It was like the last minutes before the deadline.
Yeah, we'll all be sweating.
I'll tell you something, man. This reminds me, a couple years ago, the Bengals and the Browns made a trade. A.J. McCarron, the backup quarterback, got sent to Cleveland at the trade deadline. And so it got announced. And in Cleveland, they were celebrating the deal to get A.J. McCarron to be their quarterback. But they didn't send in the paperwork to the NFL, so the deal didn't happen. And so it was really uncomfortable for the Bengals because they thought they had made this
Cleveland.
deal. And the Browns, again, looked like morons like they always do. And I will never forget Floyder's reaction to that because he could not believe it. Like, could not believe it.
I mean, it's just so Cleveland.
And talked about, like, the process. And I guess now it's like email as compared to phone. But the process was, in order to create a trade, to consummate a trade in the NFL, like, let's say I'm trading you Ryan Tannehill for your first-round pick. I have to call the league and say, I am trading Caroline Ryan Tannehill for my first-round pick. And then you have to call the league, and you have to read the same exact trade to the league, and then once it's both done, then it's a deal. Cincinnati did their part. Cleveland didn't do their part.
How do you just not do that?
I think the Predators would get it in if they got that close to the deadline. But I think it's getting done. But, boy, Darren's confidence level, I mean, I think it makes it pretty obvious. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll also get to your phone, 615-737-1025. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, my guys. Hiller is celebrating the home of the free all July long with special deals for our customers. This month only, take advantage of free whole home surge protection and an interest-free financing for 12 months with the purchase of a new whole home generator. You also can get a free programmable thermostat and interest-free financing for up to 48 months on select new HVAC units. They've got a free water sensor leak detector and interest-free financing for 12 months when you buy a new tankless water heater. All of these purchases come with the free Happy Hiller Club membership, and I love the Happy Hiller Club membership, and I'm a member. Their work is backed by the Happy OB or Services free guarantee, and these deals are only happening in July, so customers should call as soon as possible. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. My guys, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Join 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and Newton Motor Group this summer to help kids in Middle Tennessee. We're teaming up with Souls for Souls to provide shoes to children experiencing homelessness in Nashville and the surrounding area for back to school. Our goal is to raise $20,000, which will provide 1,000 pairs of shoes for kids. To help, go to thegamenashville.com/shoes. Let's do some good this summer. Newton Motor Group is a proud sponsor of Souls for Music City. Newton Motor Group, the best car deals in Nashville. Start at Newton. Visit thegamenashville.com/shoes.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
On Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus, Code Red continues. This time around, the heat and humidity died down, but a few more scattered showers. Overnight tonight, a few rumbles of thunder possible, and 1 or 2 strong storms can't be ruled out for your Saturday with a high near 90.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way, but if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Hey, it's Chad Withrow. We're pumped to be back on Nashville radio, but we're also excited that my buddies at Regal Realty Group have jumped on board to be our presenting sponsor. Look, I've known Hunter and Richard at Regal Realty Group for a long time, and I trust them. These guys and their agents at Regal Realty Group are good people, and we all want good people in our network, right? If you're looking to buy or sell your house, then Regal Realty Group will help you from contract to closing and everything in between. Let them do the heavy lifting and make it easy for you. Hit them up at regalrg.com.
Do I need Medicare when I turn 65, or can I wait?
With more than 70 years of experience helping Tennesseans, Farm Bureau Health Plans can answer all your questions about Medicare.
Part A, B, C, D, it's all alphabet soup to me.
So if you're looking for an affordable way to cover the gaps left by Medicare or protection from the high cost of prescription drugs, you can plan on us to make it easy. Find out more at fbhp.com. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on us.
At Kubota, we want to help you deliver a job done right. That's why we want you to know that the new Kubota inventory is arriving daily. You have work to do. We have the reliable, durable, and versatile lineup to help you do it. Visit Krebs Kubota today for all your equipment needs. Krebs Kubota. Stop in, click, or call. Visit us online at KrebsKubota.com.
Robbie Stanley.
They get a lead in that game and just totally close the door.
Joe Rexroad.
If he plays next year, it's disastrous.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company. Again, Darren McFarland making the proclamation at the end of DDC today that he believes that Philip Forsberg will be re-signed by the time that Darren, Willie, and Chase get on the air at 10 o'clock on Monday.
Not 100% sure.
90.09%. It felt like he was telling us.
Well, you don't just say that number. To Ian's point, it could have just been something cute because Forsberg's number 9. Or was he planting an Easter egg there? And I don't know the answer to that.
Do you think, if you had to bet your house today, would you bet that Darren McFarland is right? And by the time we get on the air at 2 o'clock on Monday, Philip Forsberg will be signed for 8 years with the Nashville Predators.
I want to say that he will be, but I don't think that he will be.
Ian?
I don't know. For some reason, I'm skeptical. I don't know why.
Too.
I don't. Maybe it's just because it's been going on so long, and I feel like if it's, I guess I know this deadline thing spur action, and that is legit, especially in the sports world and when it comes to contracts and stuff. But I don't know. Part of me is a little bit skeptical.
Yeah, I think like if it's not done now, what about Monday is so magical? I think it's going to come down to the final few hours or even minutes.
Why would you let it do that if you're either side, especially for Forsberg's side?
Why wouldn't you let
Why would you let it go this long?
Yeah.
Because really nothing has changed. There has been nothing that could lead to anything that would have changed. And I guess you're saying, well, if you let it get down to the last minute, then nothing may change between now and then. And you're probably right. But it's almost like for your own sake of mind, don't you just want to say, fine, just do the deal now?
But even then, Forsberg probably knows that he is going to sign that deal. And I have to think that David Boyle probably feels pretty confident. John Hines said he felt confident that this deal was going to get done. Well, yeah, I mean, this deal's been going on a lot longer than it should have. But I do think that Forsberg knows that he's eventually going to sign it. So does he feel a sense of urgency to sign it if he still has a few days? If I were him, I'd like to just sign it, get it over with. Yay, let's throw a party. I'm excited. But I do understand the side of if you're not getting exactly what you want, we still have a few days. And we can still do some negotiating to get that final $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, whatever it might be.
See, I think Forsberg likes it here so much that I'm legitimately willing to let him. I mean, I would let him probably go somewhere else before giving him what they're going to give him if I had got to make the big decisions about the franchise. But if I was, lockstep with the group, if I was assistant general manager and the general manager decides this is the route we're going to go, then I would be praying that we can re-sign Philip Forsberg, because you got to re-sign Philip Forsberg if that's the route you're going to go.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that's kind of like, if Philip Forsberg wants to do this dance as much as he's doing this dance, then go ahead. Go enjoy somewhere else. Somewhere else will sign him. He'll make money. He'll get a set.
Well, that's if he doesn't sign by the 13th.
But go.
It's only the 8th.
Go do something. Go somewhere else. Go sign. Go call Freddie Freeman and ask him how he's feeling.
But I don't think that he will.
That's my point.
I don't think that he will.
If the Predators said, fine, go somewhere else. If they said today, if this deal is not done by Monday, go somewhere else.
The deal will be done by Monday.
And see, I wonder if the Predators will be willing to do that for this reason. Be willing to put that deadline there and say this deal needs to be done on Monday. Because free agency is on Wednesday. And there are teams that do not have cap space that are looking to create cap space in order to go get players. Well, if you know your player is in lock, then all the teams that have the good players that are on better contracts than the free agent deals that you always overpay on, then there may be a team that is trying to clear salary space that you could get a deal done before free agency opens, so that that other team will have the peace of mind that they can go get that guy.
Yes.
So I could see the Predators saying,
I mean, if I'm the Predators,
case,
I want to know how much cap space I have. I want to know, do I have my top winger or not?
So, 2 o'clock Monday, yes or no?
No.
Ian.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say no after you say you were skeptical. I will second that. I think it's done by Monday.
I hope it is. I hope you guys are
right. I think
right.
it's done Monday. And if it's $9 million, if that was a hint from Darren that that's the money, and I think Ian's probably right. It's probably not. If that's the hint that that's what the money is, then I could run this team better than David Poole. But, again, nobody gets in trouble for things they haven't done. And it's probably not. If they were offering low 8s, they're not going to go to 9 million.
That would be gross overpayment.
If Pierre's saying 8.5 to get it done, they're not going to go to 9. That's it for us. We're out of here. Max Hers has the 6 next. Oren Burks will join him in the first segment. That is coming up. Stillman and Company, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you.